Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Donna Just Being Real. My channel is all about dating, love, relationships, and toxic relationship advice channel. Alright, so we're resuming this again. Alright, we're going to get into part 2. And part 2 is Satan's daughter Letecia Stauch Stepmom Murder Trial Day 15 Recap. Part 2, the forensic psychologist. So we're going to get into part 2 of that. Now, don't she look like the ring girl? Don't she look like the ring girl? Yes, she does. Look like the ring girl. Yes, 100%. All right, so we're going to get into part 2 here. Now, part 2 of day 15. And then Sunday, I'll just do a recap of day 16. That was today, which we learned a lot. These past few days in court, we learned. Let's put you like this. Every day in court, it's always something new. You just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know what's going to happen. All right? So what you do is you make sure you hit the like button, share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and also share the video on your social media. And if you like, check out some of my past commentary. All right? And share your thoughts. Tell me what you think of everything. What do you think so far about this trial? Or you just started with the trial? Whatever you want, just share your thoughts. All right? So let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, this is day 15 and it's part 2 of day 15. I'm finishing the rest. The second psychologist, the forensic psychologist that came on the stand. And her name is Dr. Torres. So we're going to hear what Dr. Torres had to say. The other one before was Dr. Gimmick. I think it was something like that. All right, let's get it, ladies and gentlemen.
Offer that as offer.
I don't know. I gave it back to you because it had to go to Dr. Grimmett. So upload it. Okay. And then, yeah, since it's offered, just upload it as Exhibit C. What?
Oops, forgot to say. All right, we're going to put this on speed 1.5. So what you do on your end, if it's too fast for you, you can slow it down. All right, so we're going to have it on 1.5. Let's get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe we probably ought to do that because otherwise it's going to be in a different format.
Just as long as it doesn't go back to the jury.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't planning on sending it back to the jury, but the issue is if in civil cases, we always have both sides upload it, but this is a little bit different. Let me think about that.
Okay.
Okay. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358 people versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When we took our break, we were still in the midst of the prosecution's case in chief. That's where we will resume. Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We call Dr. Loandra Torres.
Raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand. Mr. Young?
Thanks, Judge. Good afternoon, Doctor. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good, thank you.
When you get settled, I'll have you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Loandra Torres. That last name is spelled Torres.
Is your first name Loandra?
That is correct.
One of the few names I was able to get right, perhaps. So what do you do for a living, doctor?
Currently, I'm employed with the Office of Civil and Forensic Mental Health. I am the clinical director of the Court Services Department.
What does that mean?
Well, it essentially means I'm involved in a number of different duties. The Court Services Department here in the state of Colorado is responsible for a number of the court-ordered evaluations as it pertains to competency to proceed, as well as the mental state at the time of the crime evaluations. So in my role, I'm responsible for supervising the supervisors who supervise all of the state evaluators who do those types of evaluations. Another one of my primary roles is to advise administration as it pertains to clinical issues with policy and legislation. And my tertiary role is that I am the associate director of our formal forensic psychology fellowship with the department.
Are you a psychologist?
I am a psychologist.
How long have you been a psychologist?
I have been licensed since 2012.
And have you been doing that same role, or at least in that at some point with that agency throughout your whole career?
Not throughout my whole career.
What did you start out being when you became a psychologist?
I was initially licensed in Texas, and I worked in Texas for a couple of years conducting competency to proceed evaluations at a private hospital. Then I came to Colorado, was licensed here. I worked for a couple of years at the state hospital down in Pueblo, primarily doing violence risk assessments with individuals who had been adjudicated not guilty by reason of insanity. Following those 2 years, I transitioned to the court services department, worked as a state evaluator, doing competency to proceed evaluations, as well as mental state at the time of the crime evaluations. I did that for a couple of years, promoted to a supervisor level, so started supervising individuals as well as conducting these evaluations, eventually promoted to the clinical director level, where I started transitioning to doing the things that I already outlined, in addition to continuing to do some evaluations.
Do you assign evaluations to particular psychologists and psychiatrists within that agency?
No, I'm not involved in assignment.
Are you a board certified in the field of forensic psychology?
I am.
And what does that mean to be board certified?
Being board certified essentially means that you have gone through a rigorous examination that includes a written examination and an oral defense of your work in front of a panel of experts. So your competence in the field is acknowledged to be at a high level enough to become board certified.
And is that rare for psychologists licensed in Colorado to be board certified?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's difficult and it takes many years. I think the whole process for me at least took approximately 2 years and a lot of studying to accomplish.
Could you tell the jury a little bit about your educational background?
Yes, I have my bachelor's in psychology from Johns Hopkins University. I then went on to obtain a master's and a doctorate in forensic psychology from Alliant International University in Los Angeles. Following the completion of my doctorate, I did a 1-year formal postdoctoral fellowship, which helped me specialize in the area of forensic psychology and conducting competency and mental state evaluations.
And have you taught and gave presentations in the field of forensic psychology?
I have.
Tell the jury about that.
My teaching has been, well, formal teaching, I'd say, has been pretty limited. I did conduct a course out of Texas Tech University during my fellowship year, but I've been involved in training for quite some time. As I noted, I'm the associate director of our formal forensic psychology fellowship. So that means that I assist with the training of individuals who have received their doctorates and are specializing in these types of evaluations. So there's a lot of training and education that goes into that. In addition, being the clinical director for the court services department, I am involved specifically in the training of competency to proceed evaluations, along with one of my colleagues.
How many competency evaluations have you conducted in your career?
Competency? I think it's fair to say that I've probably conducted somewhere between 700 to 800 competency evaluations.
And how many legal insanity evaluations have you conducted in your career?
Sanity, I've done close to 35.
And have those 35 been here in Colorado?
All but one.
Assuming that one was in Texas?
Yes.
See how I put that together so quickly?
Very good of you.
Have you testified as an expert in the field of forensic psychology in the past?
I have.
Approximately how many times?
31.
And out of those 31 times, did those include both competency hearings and perhaps jury trials involving the issue of insanity?
Yes.
At this time, we would ask that the court qualify Dr. Torres as an expert in the field of forensic psychology and allow her to render opinions in that field.
Okay. The witness will be so qualified. Go ahead.
So, Dr. Torres, could you let the jury know how you became involved in this particular case, the people of the state of Colorado versus Letecia Stauch?
Yes. I became involved in this case in 2020. I was one of the evaluators who conducted her initial competency evaluation.
And how did that competency evaluation come to you?
I can't say I remember the specifics, but we do have a process for assigning evaluations. And given the high profile nature of this case, they asked myself and Dr. Gray to conduct it since both of us are board certified in forensic psychology.
We're going to talk about Dr. Gray in a second, but why 2 psychologists involved in this case versus just 1?
Usually with such high profile cases such as this one, we like to involve 2 individuals because it's 2 sets of eyes. 2 individuals who can draw an opinion from what we see, what we are reading. And that's the primary reason.
And who is Dr. Gray?
Dr. Gray is currently employed as the director of training at the court services department.
And does he have an office down at what used to be called the State Hospital, Colorado what is it called? Colorado Institute?
The Colorado, it's not the Colorado Mental Health Hospital in Pueblo.
Okay. Is that where does he still have an office down there?
He does.
And what does he do there at the state hospital?
His primary duties are ones of training. So he is our primary training director. When I noted that I do training for
Nail Gigi, I see you, and happy Friday and blessings. All right, resume. And I see you too, Melanie. Hugs and kisses to you, girl.
competency evaluation. He is the other colleague I referenced. He is also the primary director of our postdoctoral fellowship, overseeing the training of our postdoctoral fellows. He is also involved in organizing the yearly or bi-yearly trainings that we have as a department, which revolve around a number of different topics, those associated with.
Do I see Nikki just creeping through the back door? And happy Friday to you, girl. Good to see you here, mod on deck. Reason.
Competency, those associated with clinical diagnosis, etc.
And did this case come to you and Dr. Gray for evaluation based on a defense counsel raising competency in this case on June 5th of 2020?
Yes.
And could you, the jury's heard a little bit about a competency evaluation, but could you let the jury know what you did upon receiving an order from the court to do that competency evaluation?
Sure. We have a pretty standard process that we follow. The first thing that we do whenever we receive an order for competency is that we contact both sets of attorneys, the defense attorney and the prosecuting attorneys, to ask any questions about why the issue of competency was raised, what concerns there might be, if there are any concerns at all. Following that consultation, we then review all of the information that we have available to us. In this case, there was a good amount of discovery that we had to review in preparing for the actual interview. Once that is completed, we conduct an interview for competency to proceed. In this case specifically, it occurred over the course of 2 days, meaning that there were two separate meetings, and we conducted some psychological testing as part of our evaluation.
And I'm going to talk about that competency evaluation here in a little bit, but did you also conduct an insanity evaluation based on the defendant's not guilty by reason of insanity plea that took place in February of 2022?
Yes.
And so I may be jumping back and forth as we talk about those, but did Dr. Gray assist you in that evaluation as well?
Yes, both of us worked on the sanity evaluation as well.
And did you use information that you gained or you looked at in the competency evaluation from June of 2020 or the evaluation you did on insanity from February of 2022?
We did incorporate, we did consider our competency evaluation. The discovery was pretty much the same for both cases. And for our sanity evaluation, we had access to a number of other documents like medical records, health records, employment records.
And did you receive additional discovery based on the time frame between the competency evaluation and the insanity evaluation?
We did.
And I think you already answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why were you and Dr. Gray chosen to do the insanity evaluation on this particular case?
We were chosen to do the sanity evaluation for similar reasons, in that both of us are board certified and it is a high profile case. But in addition to that, we had already reviewed the discovery from the competency evaluation, which makes it a little bit easier. It facilitates the evaluation moving forward. It means another evaluator doesn't have to review all of that information. A tertiary reason would be because we had already seen her at one point in time, which could be helpful in terms of coming to conceptualization for the issue of sanity.
Did the prosecution or defense counsel have any say on you and Dr. Gray doing the evaluation in either the competency or the insanity evaluation?
No.
Was that simply a court order that went to the state hospital? There's a process where people are assigned to do the evaluation and then it's done.
Yes.
Okay. However, you did indicate that you contacted both parties initially to see what concerns there may be or what issues there might be for you to look for. Is that what you testified to?
Yes, we did that for the competency evaluation as well as for the sanity evaluation.
And as you do these evaluations for court order, is there any incentive to go one way or the other in your conclusions?
No, we're paid the same regardless.
I hope you understand why I'm asking that. I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but do you just look at the discovery, the police reports, everything involved, go through the same process where you may interview the defendant and then look at collateral information based on that interview and then make a decision?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go through that process, and I'd like to start with the competency evaluation first, okay?
Okay.
What did you review prior to your competency evaluation with Ms. Stauch? Was it back in June when you saw her, or was it closer to August?
We saw her, it was closer to August.
Okay, I can take a look at your report. Did you actually see her on August 4th of 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to your interview with her on August 4th of 2020, was she at state hospital facility for some time period?
She was there, I want to say, approximately 2 weeks before we saw her.
And is that a benefit to your evaluation or is it a detriment to your evaluation?
It's a benefit.
Why is it a benefit?
It's a benefit because it allows some observation of her behaviors for, one could say, a 24-hour period of time.
That's a good question, LGG. After watching today's trial, first I was like, no, I don't think she's going to do it. No, I don't think she will. I think her lawyers is really telling her it would be not for your best interest. Unless if she does, because she have this big show that she wants to, be all dramatic and everything. Because once she gets cross-examined by the prosecution, she's not going to be able to handle it. Not at all. But we will see. It will be very entertaining and interesting. Resume.
That we can then incorporate into our understanding of what is going on with her.
And so while she's down in Pueblo, right? Is that where this was conducted?
Yes.
Are you reviewing discovery and looking at collateral information prior to doing the forensic interview with her?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you don't do the forensic interview first and then look at it later?
We review the information that we have available to us. A lot of it is primarily the discovery so that we have an understanding of what's going on in her case, as well as the potential evidence against her so that we can better evaluate her own understanding of her case and the evidence against her.
And could you describe for the jury the state hospital, where she was staying, and the setting of the state hospital, I guess is the best way to describe where she was living for that 2-week period?
Sure. She was in our high security forensic building. There is a unit there specifically for female defendants. So she was on that unit. It's a locked unit, but individuals on that unit are otherwise free to roam around the unit. They usually have their own room. I'm pretty sure they do not share rooms, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Usually there are treatment groups that are happening on the unit. I imagine that she might have attended some of those, but I don't recall exactly if she did or not.
Are there people watching her? Are there nurses there that you could go ask questions about what her demeanor was like, how she's interacting with other people, that kind of thing?
Yes, there's nursing staff on those units.
Melvia. And happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. Even the people in the bushes. Happy Friday.
It's 24/7.
And did you do that in this particular case? You and Dr. Gray, did you consult with the nurses within that unit to see how she was acting while she stayed at the state hospital?
We reviewed the documentation that they had for Ms. Stauch. I don't remember that we specifically spoke to nursing staff regarding how she had been doing on the unit.
And what documentation did you review? Just kind of summarize that for the jury.
Any of the mental health notes and records that are kept. So those would include interactions that she had with nursing staff. Those are kept on a daily basis. As I noted, when groups are run, there's usually documentation that goes along with that as well. But I don't remember incorporating that into our reports. I don't actually think that we saw anything associated with individual or group treatment.
Jump forward to 2022 when she went down for the insanity evaluation. Was she a resident at the state hospital for that evaluation?
She was not.
Did she just come down for the time period that you and Dr. Gray spent with her during that evaluation?
Yes.
The documentation that you talk about, do the nurses, are they trained as to why they're documenting their observations of particular people in that ward?
Yes, they are. Most of them have been there at least for some time, so they have an understanding of documenting behaviors that they are seeing. I think I would also add that we did read the notes by the unit psychiatrist who initially evaluated her whenever she arrived at the hospital, which is a typical thing that they do.
Do you remember that psychiatrist's name?
His last name is Hoffman.
And what did Dr. Hoffman have to say with regards to Ms. Stauch as she was entering the facility and during this 2-week time period?
From my recollection, he noted that she reported past depression, past anxiety, issues with panic attacks, excuse me. She also reported or endorsed symptoms that might be consistent with mania in a bipolar disorder. So ultimately, he noted that she could have some post-traumatic stress disorder, that she could have.
No, you're right. If she gets on the stand and testifies, it's going to be good to watch, but bad for her. Well said. Reason.
Bipolar disorder, but he noted specifically that there needed to be more information to really figure out if that was the diagnostic picture, given that a lot of it was based on her self-report.
And is that information that you and Dr. Gray used at least during the competency portion of this evaluation?
Yes.
For instance, was bipolar disorder a diagnosis that you were looking at as you were conducting this evaluation?
It was one of them.
And we're going to get to those in a little bit about the diagnosis. Why are you looking at diagnosis during a competency?
We consider a diagnosis because for competency, the legal definition is a mental or developmental disability, which essentially means if there is a mental illness that is impacting her, say, functional competency related abilities, which means whether she understands factual information pertaining to how court works, or whether she has a rational understanding of her case and can think through possible defenses in a rational manner.
And did you find that she could, in this evaluation, did you find her competent to proceed in the court proceedings?
Yes, ultimately we found her competent to proceed.
Now, again, the jury knows this, but I want to ask you, are you the first one doing a competency evaluation in this particular case?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Dr. Grimmett, who did the second competency evaluation?
Yes, I am.
You probably saw her out in the hallway earlier.
I did.
That's why I say the jury already knows about these things. So what I would like to do is talk about your forensic interview with the defendant, Ms. Stauch, on this June competency evaluation. Okay. So you meet with her in August of 2020, is that correct?
Yes.
What did she have to tell you about her personal background? Do you recall?
I mean, she said a number of things in terms of her personal background. She told us how she was born in North Carolina. She described a somewhat disruptive childhood as it pertains to some emotional, physical, sexual abuse at the hands of a stepfather. This individual, the stepfather, probably came into her life when she was about 4 years old, but she noted that the sexual abuse maybe started happening late in childhood or early adolescence, maybe between the ages of 9 and 12. She noted that she witnessed domestic abuse. I'm actually not 100% sure if she told us that during the competency evaluation or during the sanity evaluation.
And if I could interrupt you just there, in your report, if you have that in front of you, it helps you refresh.
And any time the doctor needs to look at either reports, I don't have a problem with just looking at it. Do the whole report.
There's a lot of information in this case.
There is,
And
yes.
so if you need your report, we can take a look at it. But I do want to address what you talked about, the sexual assault when she was younger by a stepfather. Do you remember that aspect of it?
Yes.
And I'll just refer you to page 2 of 10 of your report. Do you recall her saying that she was approximately 12 years old when that happened?
That is what she told us during the competency evaluation.
Did she tell you something different in the insanity portion of the evaluation?
During the insanity evaluation, she said it started around age 9.
And that's almost what? Almost 2 years later, you're going to have to.
Oh, the sanity evaluation was close to 2 years later.
Did she talk to you about her educational background during the competency portion of your evaluation?
Yes.
What did she say about her educational background?
She noted that she completed a bachelor's degree, a master's in education at Capella University, and a doctorate of education at Liberty University.
Did she tell you whether or not she was involved in sports and potentially received a scholarship for in sports?
Yeah, she did say that.
What did she say about that? Do you recall?
She said that she received a scholarship to a Division I school for softball specifically. Oh, sorry, an athletic scholarship.
Did she talk to you about her employment history?
Yes.
What did she say about her employment history?
In terms of her employment history, she noted that she had primarily worked in teaching, that she had a credential in special education specifically, that she worked for a period of time in South Carolina prior to coming to.
Excuse me. So you saying she had an education in special education? So children needs extra attention. Wow, and she did this. This is insane. All right, let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure people that's coming in hit the like and feel free to share your thoughts and opinions. Or you just want to sit back and just relax and just listen. I completely understand. And happy Friday to everybody, and thank you for being here. Let's resume.
Colorado. Here in Colorado, she worked for a time period at Whitefield School District, and that her longest period of employment was approximately 6 years when she was in South Carolina.
During the competency portion of her evaluation, did she ever indicate that she lived in Florida at any given time and worked in Florida?
I don't think she mentioned that during the competency evaluation.
Did you also ask her questions about any potential prior mental health issues with Ms. Stauch during the competency evaluation?
We did.
And what did she say as to regards if she had ever been in any inpatient treatment for mental health issues?
During the competency evaluation, she said she had never been psychiatrically hospitalized.
And was that consistent? Well, let me ask you this first. Did you review the jail notes in this case with regards to Ms. Stauch
Yes.
when she was initially brought into the jail on March 5th of 2020?
Yes.
Was that consistent with the jail notes that you saw based on Ms. Stauch's prior inpatient or lack of inpatient treatment?
I'm pretty sure that it was consistent.
Okay. Do you want to look at the notes or?
I don't think we reported in our report specifically whether the jail had noted previous hospitalizations or not.
Okay. Let me just ask you this. Was it, let's see, March and June of 2022 is when you're doing the insanity evaluation. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Had that changed in March of 2022 with regards to her history of inpatient treatment?
Yes. In March of 2022, she did tell us that she had a history of psychiatric hospitalization, specifically in Canada.
And were you able to ever corroborate whether or not she was ever an inpatient, in inpatient treatment in Canada?
We weren't.
Okay, Melanie said something. Donna just being, can we make sure we clean up my words on insanity sentence tonight? I don't want anyone replying on what I misquoted on air. Absolutely. I'll put the link in. Anybody else who wants to jump up on the panel, you could come up here and share your thoughts and opinions, because it's open chat if you like. But I'll put the link in there when you're ready, to come up, or if you want to do it at the end, whatever, Melanie, you know what to do, and you can clear that one up and stuff, because I understand. That was interesting. Yeah, because I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Maybe you have better words to say it. I don't know if I could say it better than the way you broke it down to me. All right. Resume.
We wanted to. She was not able to tell us what city it occurred in or the name of the actual facility. So when you don't have that information, it's hard to figure out where you need to request information from.
And I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but during the insanity evaluation, did you discuss the inpatient treatment program that she was alleging that took place in Canada?
During the sanity evaluation, she did not speak very much about it. If I'm remembering, she said that she could not remember it herself.
We're going to play a portion of video testimony, and we'll talk about that then.
Okay.
So let me go back to what we were talking about here. Were you familiar with Dr. Grimmett's report that happened after your competency evaluation, but before the insanity evaluation?
Yes.
Are you also familiar that she told Dr. Grimmett about this Canada inpatient treatment?
Yes.
Now, was there some consistency with the amount of time that she spent in each version that she was telling different doctors?
I'm going to take a look at my sanity report.
Okay.
In my sanity report, I noted that she had made statements to Dr. Grimmett about being hospitalized in Canada, said it occurred in 2018 to treat a psychosis and lasted only 2 days.
And do you recall what she's telling you all during her insanity evaluation?
Outside of the specifics, I noted in my report that she gave some vague information, but that she didn't recall the name or location of the facility itself.
We'll cover it when we play the video later, okay? Back to the competency evaluation interview. I'll turn your attention to page 4 of 10 of your report, the middle paragraph there of the competency evaluation. Do you have a paragraph there listing things that nursing and the psychiatrist that you alluded to earlier talked about how she was doing on the ward during the competency portion of this?
Yes.
And what was going on based on your note there in your report?
In my report, I note that when she arrived at CMHIP, when they do an admission evaluation, she told mental health staff that she had heard voices in the past related to an ex-husband of hers, but she said that she wasn't currently experiencing hallucinations. She talked about her past trauma. She said that she had nightmares and that she had visual flashbacks. She reported being anxious, having panic attacks several days of the week. She said that in the past, she had had symptoms consistent with a manic episode, specifically talking so fast that she did not make sense, rambling about things in a manner that didn't make sense.
Okay, we got Melanie up here. Go ahead, girl.
Hang on.
And happy Friday. Happy Friday. And once again, thank you for always coming up here, giving these tidbits so we can learn from. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Now.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to apologize. Do we echo?
Oh, I got to change the setting. Thank you for telling me. Yesterday I was on point, right? I did it beforehand, but not on point.
You were on it.
All right, go ahead.
But today's Friday. It's different.
Okay. Oh, I love Fridays. I love it. Mm-hmm.
I sat here and I told everybody that if she got not guilty by reason of insanity, she would get 12-month reviews at the mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And once they deemed her competent, she'd go home. That is incorrect.
Okay.
The new statutes in Colorado do not include murder one. So if she gets an insanity verdict, she still goes to the mental hospital, but likely for the rest of her life.
Oh.
So
because
she will get reviews.
Uh-huh.
She'll get reviews, but she won't be let out. So the judge will say 25 to life or life, whatever the judge says. She'll still get competency or sanity reviews. If they
Okay.
deem her sane, the thought is that she would go back to a prison to finish her sentence. But honestly, it happens so rare on a murder one that it's
Oh.
anybody I've listened to, they're like, we're just a little unsure. There's not a lot of precedent.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we don't have to panic. If she gets insanity, if they deem her insane, she's still going someplace that's probably uglier than the prison.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like because both of them is bad, right, Melanie? Both of them is bad because just think about it. If you normal and you just you just trying to get off, like, yeah, I just want to go to the nut house and I can get off. But then you around these real people nuts. It's like you, anyway, it could be dangerous. You know,
You're around real people that are suffering big illnesses. I couldn't go to either place. I'd rather self-delete than go to either place, but I don't have to worry about it.
yes,
It's
we're
I don't
normal.
live in that world. I don't live in that world. Maybe she's just doing this as an excuse,
Wait a minute.
to see I was
Melvia said
mentally ill. I didn't do it because I was evil.
Melvia said, going, yeah, because one thing about a narcissist sociopath, they want to always look like they perfect, that they didn't do nothing wrong.
Mhm.
So this could be her thing of, the poor me, I didn't mean to, I just kind of lost it. But she doesn't realize you're going to a nut house. It might actually be worse than going to the prison. She's not thinking it.
Right.
First of all, she ain't think she's
And
gonna
these
get caught.
and these lawyers don't have a choice as to what her case is. They can tell her what they think is her best choices, but she decides. And if they go against her, they get disbarred. So they're presenting what she wants presented.
Oh,
They're forming a defense based on what she wants her defense based on. So we
you're
can't really
saying
hold it
that
against
what
them.
you're saying is if she wants to do blank blank and they say no, they don't want to go there, they could lose, they can get in trouble. They have to follow what the client wants, basically.
Right. They would have to go to the judge and
Mhm.
say, we need to withdraw because we're having a conflict of
Oh, okay. When they get
theory. But they're court appointed and she's been through so many lawyers. So she had a public defender and she
mm-hmm.
got one taken off of her case and got a new one appointed. She
Mm-hmm.
got that one pulled off her case and went pro se. Then she decided she was going to go pro se and file insanity. And the judge said, no, you have to have a lawyer, because the two are counterintuitive. The insanity and representing yourself, right? You're saying you're insane. That means you're not capable of representing yourself.
This is crazy. This is
Jesus.
crazy, yo. Wait a minute.
I
That
think
just hurt
I
my
think
brain what you just said, but it's so true.
I think she used all of her I think she must have used all of her
Mhm.
degrees for toilet paper during the shortage. I mean, lady, come on.
Really?
So
Mm.
then she claimed that the public defender's office claimed there's a conflict of interest, or she claimed there's a conflict of interest. Anyways, that's how she got these guys. They became court appointed. Taxpayers are paying them. They're private counsel, but taxpayers are paying them.
That's true.
So they didn't get a choice. So they have to have permission to leave, to get off the case. And if they just quit, they get disbarred. So we can't blame them.
Oh, so they could be
They're
sitting there
pretty.
like they want to get out of here. But I have to say one thing now. What do you think? Let me just quick question is now with they did more of her mental issues, blah blah. 'Cause before it was more about the crime, the pings of the towers and all that, right? Do you
Mhm.
think that the defense is doing a kind of a good job? Think about today. Today, do you think the defense doing a good job with the questioning, with the cross
Mhm.
examination? I noticed that, right? Because they was
Because it's all mental health. It's all. So you're a day behind on the stream. This
mm-hmm,
is from 2 days. This is from Wednesday. No court
correct.
Thursday. So today, the videos they showed today, she literally walks them through the crime and tells them how she did it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna show. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I watch a lot of it. But I'm gonna show that Sunday and try to like
Yeah.
breeze through because we're not gonna show that whole 8 hours. But I just want to show the part when she's talking. But it was kind of hard to hear it. Well, maybe because I'm doing it with the phone, or where it was kind of hard to hear it because it was like a little choppy. I really want to hear. One thing I have to say about with this trial, and even Lovejoy, she agreed with me when she was on it last time. This trial, the audio sucks, the video sucks. It's just horrible compared to watching
It's
these
the
other
WebEx.
trials, huh?
It's WebEx.
Well,
It's
what did
not
they
court
use?
TV. It's WebEx.
Well, what did they use for Johnny Depp and Nathaniel Rowland and Surat? What did they use for them?
Court TV. Court TV and law and crime. And I think it's Court TV actually has the cameras in the courthouses.
Oh,
And then
okay.
those get streamed to law and crime. Much different.
Mm.
This is
Yeah.
WebEx. The judge is controlling all of it.
Oh, I see. I see. And also, everybody in the chat, real quick question, because I wanted to ask this before. Who is following up on the West boys? Orrin and Orson West, the boys that was missing, where are the boys? Just put in the chat, let me know if you've been watching them, because I really want to follow that trial, but it's kind of difficult because they don't have it public. It's only, you have to go to a site, and I can't get the site and listen to it, and you cannot record it, rewind it, and once it's over, it's done. So I watch a couple other, like 2 other tubers, and I try to catch up on it. Day 1, day 2. I think I caught up to day 10 now. It started around this time. But I'm just curious if anybody is watching that. But today was interesting. All right, but this one here, she's gonna talk a little bit about it. But today she really got into the crime. And another thing, I was watching some other video. Oh God, we're gonna start talking. Okay, I was watching a video and I'm sitting there saying there was too much blood. A lot of blood
Yeah.
all over the place. There's no way she cleaned that blood up all by herself. Harley,
I
I'm not messing with you, Harley. Harley, you, that's all I have to say. Yes.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know.
So how are you able to clean up all that blood and people walking around? 'Cause I was watching a video. Blood was here, blood was there. It wasn't like all the blood was just in one area that she could close the door. Don't go in there. You understand?
Right.
It was all over the place. So
Right.
how did you not? When you walk into your home, right? You could tell if somebody's been there, something is not in order, the way you left that morning. You just know. You get a feeling, a sense. You could tell something is different. That's
Right.
just all I have to say. Yeah. And they
Well,
said
on
something
Sunday.
about. Go ahead, Sunday.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh well, what I was gonna say. The daughter, the stepdaughter. There's a
Lane.
possibility that she's Lena. I get it mixed up, Lena. That she might have to testify. How old was she exactly when that crime happened? At
8.
that time, she was she was a poopadoop. She was 8.
She's
So,
on the list.
so
And
she's
she was brought up today and implicated. So
That's what I was hearing today too. That's why I was like, I know she couldn't have did it by herself, but she's 8. She might have been forced, scared to death because this woman probably been terrorizing her and scaring her. She didn't know what to do, or whatever. Or she might be saying her.
well, they do say that in
Mhm. Go on.
they are saying that in none of Lainey's reports did she say that she helped her get him upstairs. So
Yeah, I don't see that.
there's
Maybe she's
that.
maybe she's
But the
saying
only
Laney,
way
but
they
she
can
really
call
means
her,
maybe she really means Harley, but she just wants to throw her and say it's her. Cause I don't know. I don't. If she did, she was. Nah, I don't think she did. Nah, there's no way. Cause she would have said something. She's been too scared. But that daughter, Harley, I don't trust.
she knew something.
She knew something, and
But
she
look,
knew before they got in that car and started driving cross country or whatever. She knew before.
and at this point, Harley's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. If she says anything different now, she's in legal trouble. If she says anything different than she did that August 2020, she's in legal trouble. But in August 2020, she still thought her mom was innocent. So she's kind of caught. She's young. She's scared. She's probably embarrassed. But she's not, I don't find an ounce of courage in her. Courage, I don't think she has.
Well, when she said that statement on the stand, like, if my mommy do this, she could have set me up. What's going on with that?
The next generation of narcissism.
Exactly. I'm like, she's just like her mama. Not saying she's a killer, but she got a little bit of traits of her mother.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
A lot of times you're raised by a narcissist, either you're going to turn out kind of like them or you're going to be totally opposite.
Yeah. So that Colorado lawyer, I asked him, I told him last night, I said, look, the state hasn't even gotten through half their witness list and they are going to rest after these two experts. Was it a strategy to keep Letecia's family out of the courtroom, or what's going on? And or can they call him on rebuttal? And he said, remember, the only testimony they can elicit on rebuttal has to be directly related to what the defense puts up in their case. So,
well, hold a second. Melanie, hold on. Let me just read this real quick. Melanie says, it's how you raise your kids. They'll help you clean up a crime scene, but won't wash the dishes. You know what, girl? No, she did. I didn't even catch that. Then I was just, something.
We have a friend, and he raised two boys on his own. One's visually disabled, and he raised his boys rough. I mean, he was strict. He worked them hard. One boy turned out really, really good. The other boy, not so much. But something he always told them is, I brought you into this world and I'll take you out. And if you commit crimes against another person's body, it's over. And okay, well, guess what? The boy committed some crimes against children. And the father picked the boy up. And the boy was a grown man. I mean, he was 30 years old at that point. He picked him up. And he took him to the police station and turned him in. And he said, my heart is broken. But you did this. And I cannot let my broken heart matter more than the innocence of a child.
Amen.
And so that's always what I've always told my kids. I brought you into this world and I'll take you out.
Exactly.
I'm not going to complain about your speeding tickets. You want to get a DUI and learn a lesson? Okay. But you start committing crimes against life and it's done. I will turn you in.
Exactly. I'm not no enabler like a lot of these other people. I can't do it. I just can't.
It's selfish.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to be there to love and support your children, but there's a limit to it. I'm not supporting no BS. No, it's not happening.
Right.
You have some mothers out here, they see their sons, hitting on their girlfriend. They won't say nothing, or their wives, and they'll just sweep it up under the rug. No. I'm going to say something.
Exactly. I'm not going to hide your affairs.
Yep, I'm not going to hide affairs. You out here got a bunch of women. I will rat you out.
I'm not going to hide your income so you don't have to pay child support.
Oh, I forgot about that. They do that too, right?
They do that too. I ain't doing that.
No, not me. It's not happening. Sorry, not doing it. Can't.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So thank you for that one. Thank you for clearing that up. That was interesting. And we'll resume some more on this one here. I won't be able to
Alright.
finish the whole thing, but we're gonna watch it just if I really want to get to. Maybe I should fast forward to when she start talking. That's what I really want to watch when she start talking.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right.
girl.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
thank you, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to resume. And I see you, Emmanuel, mod on deck. You creep through the back door, and blessings to you. And happy Friday, everybody. Everybody, happy Friday. And people that's in the bushes, happy Friday. And Lisa, to you, hugs and kisses. All right, let's get back to this one. We'll listen a little bit more of this. And I'm going to fast forward to when she starts to. Let me see. Let me see how far we here. How long she's going to talk. Yeah, she's going to talk for a minute. All right, I just know 2 more minutes of her talking. Then I'm going to skip to when Satan daughter start talking. We're going to focus on that one. All right, and like I said, we on speed 1.5. This is day 15. This was actually Wednesday. Now they don't have court on Thursday, but they had court today. And Friday was day 16. But day 16, we're going to just do recaps short on Sunday. All right, and thank you again, Melanie. Let's get back to it.
Sense that she had experienced high energy, brief amounts of sleep, and impulsive and erratic behavior.
Was there other notes saying that at the same time she was calm and communicative and, I don't know, I keep using the word normal, but act normal under that setting?
Yeah, it said that generally speaking, she tended to present as calm and cooperative, pleasant. No apparent symptoms of acute mental illness were notable from mental health staff or even the psychiatrist.
In the last paragraph on that page 4 of 10 of your report, you have a note there inquiring things that she might have asked staff about, how she should act and that kind of thing. Do you see that in the report?
Yes.
What was that all about, and what did that mean in the course of your evaluation?
In the mental health notes from the state hospital, it noted that she specifically asked staff whether they could tell when a patient was faking instability or mental illness. You don't see that very often in the records. You do see it on occasion. For me, it was interesting to incorporate into this report simply because it opens up a hypothesis as to whether she herself might want to be exaggerating or feigning symptoms of mental illness.
And is that something that you consider going into the forensic interview when you're conducting the interview for the competency portion of this evaluation?
Whether or not somebody is exaggerating or feigning symptoms of their mental illness is something that we always consider when it comes to these types of evaluations.
And why is that?
Because in this context, there is a potential secondary gain in terms of potentially exaggerating or feigning symptoms of mental illness. Although I'd say it's not as common as one might think it would be. There are always individuals who might want to fake mental illness to either be found incompetent, delay the proceedings in their case, or in the sense of a sanity evaluation, it would be to be found insane and potentially avoid a prison sentence.
But at least at this point in time, in August of 2020, you're only evaluating her to see what her mental state is on that day. Is that right?
Yeah, for competency, you're looking at their current mental state to see whether a mental illness is impacting their current functioning.
And so, this is a proper question or not, I'm going to ask it. In an insanity evaluation, would you want to dig deep?
Melvie, I agree. Thanks, Melvie. Melvie, I agree. Thanks, Melanie. I feel better knowing that she can't get out early playing crazy. Because somebody like her, she'll do it again. That was too much of a horrific crime for her. She gets out, she'll do it again. Evil. Evil. Wow. All right, let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Get more collateral information because the stakes may be higher than they are in a competency evaluation.
I don't know if I would so much agree with the second part, the stakes part, but for a sanity evaluation, it often does involve a more thorough deep dive into past mental health treatment, past hospitalizations. I would say getting that history for a competency evaluation can be equally as important. You're just looking at the information that you get through a different lens depending upon what evaluation you're doing.
Did you conduct, or did you have the result of any psychological testing with regards to the competency evaluation that you conducted back in August of 2020?
Yes. For the competency evaluation, we had one of our colleagues, Dr. Hashimoto, do some psychological testing. And specifically, she gave the Personality Assessment Inventory, or PAI for short. And then we also did the MMPI-2, so the Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory. second division.
And why are those tests and results relevant in your evaluation?
Both of those tests, they're similar and different, but both of them are used to help with issues of diagnosis. It has a variety of scales that look at different types of diagnostic symptoms. So for example, anxiety, depression, past trauma, schizophrenia. Both of those tests also have validity measures on them. Both of them can give information as to whether someone might be exaggerating symptoms of mental illness, or conversely, they're defensive about symptoms of mental illness. So we give these evaluations to help our diagnostic understanding of what someone might be experiencing or going through. It's just another data point. We give them when the diagnosis is a bit unclear. We also give them to see if there's any concern about further exaggeration or feigning.
So what were the results with regards to Ms. Stauch and the psychological testing that you've been talking about?
Both of those measures were invalidated. The first one that we gave was the personality assessment inventory. That one was invalidated due to, I'd say, potentially careless responding, or potentially having, we call it an idiosyncratic read of the items on that test. But what that means is they read the item and it's not exactly answered in the way that the item was written, or it's not pulling for the right information. So as a result of that, the entire profile was not interpretable. In response, Dr. Gray and I, during our interview, because we saw her 2 days in a row, we asked her about some of her responses to some of those specific test items. And then given that that was invalidated, we gave a second measure. That's when we gave the MMPI-2 to see if we could get some information from that. Unfortunately, those results were invalidated due to exaggeration.
When you say invalidated, are they invalidated based on Ms. Stauch's answers to the questions?
Yes.
In 302 questions, does that sound about right? Or is it close?
There might be a little bit more, but that's about right.
A lot of questions.
Yes.
Multiple choice?
True, false.
True, false.
Yes. The PAI is on a Likert scale. I don't know if that matters, but
I don't even know what that means.
Oh.
What does that mean? I'll tell you what matters.
no problem. A Likert scale is, to put it simply, do you ever experience this? Give a response 1 through 4. So the way it's worded specifically is you don't ever experience this particular symptom, or you sometimes experience it, or you frequently experience it, or you often or always experience it.
So scale 1 to 10 type thing?
Yeah, except it's 1 through 4. It's only 4 choices.
Okay. Going back to the forensic interview with regards to the competency evaluation, did Ms. Stauch ever give you any self-diagnosis of potential mental illnesses that she felt she had?
During the competency evaluation?
Yes.
During the competency evaluation, I don't recall specifically, but I do know that she talked a lot about being manic. She talked about slipping in and out of reality.
Is that consistent with bipolar disorder being manic?
Mania is a component of bipolar disorder. And just because somebody says that they're manic doesn't necessarily mean that they are or have been or have bipolar disorder.
Did she ever bring up anything about having another personality or multiple personalities during your competency interview with her?
She did not.
Did you ask anything about that?
During the competency evaluation, we weren't specifically looking for a dissociative identity disorder. But interestingly enough, when we were reviewing her responses on the PAI, the first test that we gave that had been invalid, one of the questions we asked her specifically about talked about having 3 or 4 personalities, and she had responded true to that item. So we asked her about that, and she essentially told us that sometimes she experiences different aspects of herself. So for example, sometimes she feels more compassionate, or sometimes she feels more competitive when she's playing sports, or sometimes she lacks empathy when she's around her family, but she did not talk about or specifically delineate having different personalities in the way that she did during our insanity evaluation.
And was that of note to you? Because I know the big picture is coming on the insanity evaluation, but the first contact with her, you asked her directly about dissociative identity disorder or multiple personalities, and she denied that at that point?
Yeah, she definitely didn't endorse it in terms of the criteria for dissociative identity disorder and how they're written. So her response to us was pretty benign. We didn't think very much of it.
I imagine it became, what's the opposite of benign?
Important?
It became important when she did disclose that she had dissociative identity disorder during the insanity portion.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll talk about that when we get there as well a little bit more, okay? Needless to say, did you make some diagnosis of Ms. Stauch based on what you knew during the...
Melvin, you remember this was Wednesday. Thursday they off. So he's thinking about, I can't wait to get out of here to go and hit happy hour. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Let's get to when Letecia starts talking. Like I said, we're just doing kind of like recap because it's gonna be a while. Let's see. I'll start here. I guess maybe she's setting it up. All right, we're gonna go from here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it.
Yeah, let me just get to my notes here. What I'd like to do now, Dr. Torres, is I want to play a portion of your interview that was conducted on March 24th, 2022, which is a portion of People's Exhibit 723. And then I'm going to have some follow-up questions afterwards. This is about 7 minutes long.
From where?
We're going to play it on the TV screens.
All right, I'm at the feed.
And so for the record, we're going to play People's Exhibit 723, starting at 1828 in the interview and stopping at 2532.
Okay, I slowed the speed for this to 1.25 when she's talking so we can catch it because she already talks kind of fast herself. All right, let's get it.
Whereas I've given everybody else the option, if you would, it's only about 7 minutes, but if you want to step down and be somewhere else, if you want to stay there, that's okay too.
I think this is okay. Thank you.
You mentioned that
I just want to make sure the volume's good. Your Honor, we paused it at 1832.
How does it go?
around the time
Did you want to ask the jury if that was sufficient volume?
That work, that's about as high as it'll go anyway, so not much I can do about it after
We have
that.
some control over here too. It's not all the way up on here.
Okay. All right, sounds like.
started creating different personalities. Yeah, could you tell us more about them?
So I wasn't allowed to go to people's house and spend the night, or I was scared to let people come to my house and spend the night because I didn't ever know if he was going to have like an episode. Like when we had like episodes, we have to like go into the car and drive around till he passed out and sleep, and then we would sneak back in the house. So I didn't ever know like if I had friends staying for the weekend. Like I didn't want them to be exposed to that, you know, because people pick on people pick on, you know. So that around the time I was like 10 or 11, I just started like almost like being able to like take myself out of the situation and let another part of me be the one getting molested. And that was when I came with Harmony, and Harmony can like tell you about the beef and dip. I try not to do it because I've stored it in a place far away, you know what I mean? But so I started let Harmony be the one being molested and not me, because that way if my friends ever ask me, you know, like why come you can't come over, I could create like a perfect picture in my world that you can come over one day, it'll be great, we'll do this, we'll play ball, we'll hang out. I didn't want them to go to that world where they had to know like who's living abuse. I was getting molested because my friends would have been like their moms and stuff like that would have been like, you need to tell somebody, you need to do this. So. And I was always scared of this softball too, so that was like my outlet.
so you created her.
Mm-hmm.
And if the personality, so did you create anyone else?
When, remember I told you I lived in a trailer? That was in 1996. That was during the Olympics. The U.S. women's gymnastics team that won a gold medal. And that I played another personality doing that. That's Christina Brigana, and she's friends with like Carrie Strub, Donna, and a bunch of people that are on the team. And like I had the whole trailer to myself, so she would like be able to like create apparatuses and like do like balance beams off stuff, you know, like because maybe days my mom would be gone, you know, and so that was just the way I would cope with. No, and not knowing if my mom was ever going to take us back there. Because then she would, every time she said she was never come back, we go back. So that helped me deal that year because I had to stay really good in school. You know what I mean? Because my plan was like to get out one day, you know, do really good, which I did end up doing really good in school. I didn't know I have a doctorate degree, but like if it wasn't for being able to use a different, I guess you could call it like persona or whatever, I wouldn't have been able to work with her.
We have Harmony, Christina was the other one.
That was from when I was little. As I got older, there was more of Letecia, and there's Taylor, and there's Maria, she's protector. They like I don't change the names because you look at a lot of my different social media, they have different names. Person of it. Different page, different one. you could always post 200 plates on all weekends. Like if I was in Letecia, like Letecia at Miami did extras so I could hit left-handed left-handed. And like sometimes people wouldn't understand when I go to the plate and they'd be like, hey, you need to hit left-handed and you need to, like, cause there'd be like a run if you know like baseball. If there's like a run in second and third, they're like, you need to hit left-handed. But if I was in that personality, I couldn't hit left-handed.
We have, as you got older, there was Letecia Taylor. You said Taylor was the protector?
Yeah, Taylor's my main person. No, Maria's my protector. Taylor's my main personality.
Thank you. Maria.
Mhm. Victoria is the only personality that I have like empathy in because I store so much of trauma. If you want me to like be like if a friend's talking to me and they need me to give them advice, I have to switch to Victoria to actually probably be empathetic. Like severely empathetic. You know what I mean?
Right. Taylor's the main personality. Maria's the protector. Victoria is the one who has the most empathy.
And then Letecia, she's bipolar. She be doing the most. Like you'll notice when I'm on Letecia. Actually, the psychiatrist the other day came to take on this. He was doing the most. She's bipolar sick, and she was up for 4, 5, 6 days at a time. You know what I mean? So I think it's Kepler or something like that.
You're currently on Kepler.
Kept.
Okay, quick question. Well, let me put up a poll. I'm gonna put a poll here in case nobody wants to answer, and people that's in the bushes, whatever. Okay, let me read this poll here, and then I'm going to resume it. This poll here, what was the question I asked? Do you think she's telling the truth about her stepfather? SA her, and we have 11 votes, and 18% says, "Oh yes, Donna." 64% says, "Not sure, she lies too much." And 18% says, "No way." All right. Now I'm going to put up another poll. So y'all answer the question because I want to talk about her personalities. All right. Resume.
Something. Yeah. Kept I was gonna put me back on the Netflix though, but we eat too much on it. I don't like it.
So who are we talking to right now?
Yeah. Okay.
When you say Taylor is the main personality, what do you mean by that?
It's like, okay, so you notice like where Letecia, she's like more like into her like thug life. I guess you can say like rap music, I think. But Taylor's everything is like Letecia or wanted to be because she gets to be like, yeah, kind to everybody, but like successful. She has a whole separate world, she's married to Tyler, they have kids.
Taylor wanted to be in Letecia married to Tyler.
No. Taylor is everything Letecia. No, Taylor is married to Tyler and have 3 kids, Ariana, Alicia, and Adriana.
Okay, we stopped it at 2532. Before we get into what Ms. Stauch had to say here, who is present during this interview?
It was just Ms. Stauch, myself, and Dr. Gray.
And why was there no attorneys in there with you?
We don't typically allow the attorneys to be in sanity evaluations with us.
Why is that?
The primary reason is because we would want to prevent any potential interference by an attorney, whether it would be a prosecutor or a defense attorney or somebody telling the defendant to withhold any information or to elaborate further on any information.
And was that Ms. Stauch that we saw in the video?
Yes,
Is it the same Ms. Stauch that's seated to my left with her head down on a notebook here in between the 2 attorneys?
it is.
May the record reflect identification of the defendant.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
So let's talk about what she's saying. What impact does it have when she says, I created these personalities?
When it comes to dissociative identity disorder, that's not the understanding in terms of what that looks like. It's not about creating or having control over several distinct personalities.
And so what is dissociative identity disorder and why do you say that's not about it?
Dissociative identity disorder, in short, it's when somebody is experiencing 2 or more personality states, and it's usually accompanied by some sort of amnesia, blackouts, a period of not remembering what you were doing. It's a complex diagnosis. Essentially, the different personality states themselves are not controlled. when an individual has this diagnosis, they might not even initially be aware that they are exhibiting different personality traits, hence the blackouts or the loss of memory for periods of time. And the emergence of these different personality states, we call them alters, but the emergence of them can be very random, not necessarily I'm going to now go into this personality state, and now I'm going to go into the second personality state. So the fact that she told us that she created them herself, in terms of our conceptualization, we started to wonder about the possibility that she was exaggerating or feigning this particular diagnosis.
And does this relate back to the competency evaluation when you asked her directly about the way she answered on the psychological testing with regards to, I believe you said 3 different personalities?
That, I would say, was more in retrospect. When we were doing the sanity evaluation, I don't even recall remembering that specific detail from the competency evaluation.
When you went back and reviewed that, that's when you saw that detail?
Yes.
Okay. What about the fact that she mentions that one of her personalities or her personas was involved with the gymnastic team and that she's friends with the gymnastics team? Is that something unusual, perhaps, to have that persona?
Again, for me, it was her report that this was a creation of hers, and that it's associated with something that was happening per her report in 1996, the Olympics that year. And if I'm remembering correctly, she noted that that was just another personality that she created at that time.
With people who actually suffer from dissociative identity disorder, would they know the other personas?
Sometimes.
Explain.
So it's going to be, I'm going to say, case by case dependent, but the research suggests that the clinical presentation of a dissociative identity disorder, they used to think that there was no memory or awareness of these other personalities that one might be experiencing, but now it's thought to be more porous, meaning that there is some awareness that this might be happening, but it's going to be a case by case thing.
Okay. We're going to see some more examples of this in some videotapes, but just one last question about this. You mentioned earlier that there's some amnesia or blackouts. Would people who suffer from dissociative identity disorder remember what they did when they are in another personality?
They might have some awareness of it, and sometimes they might not.
Is it on a spectrum? Are there more severe issues with people who may suffer from that diagnosis than others?
Yes.
And is that consistent with all the mental illnesses in the DSM-5? Some are worse than others depending on the person.
Yes, even within a particular diagnosis, someone might have a more severe presentation than another person.
The next portion of the video we're going to watch looks like it's close to 10 minutes long. It's going to be on People's Exhibit 724, starting at 1448 and ending at 2455. Again, if you want to sit back here or sit up there, whatever you're more comfortable.
This is fine, thank you.
Yes.
And just decided to get married, so that would happen. So I think it was just a real bit like that, which but it was to keep from having to do those crazy things that were unhealthy. We want to make sure whatever we did never hurt anything to do with children. So it was good on that. But then early in our marriage, Albert goes to Oklahoma. He's away at Oklahoma. He's away in Colorado Springs for training. And I'm taking care of the kids on his weekends to make sure he didn't lose his weekend. So I would have the kids on his weekend, but he would be in Oklahoma and he'd be in Colorado Springs. So like a lot of our marriage, I'd say 85% of it, we never even lived together. We never lived together until Colorado, like officially lived together. Because,
Funny night.
yeah, that was when we moved to Colorado Springs. We moved to Colorado Springs in March, but he didn't come yet from Alaska. And I had got the kids in school and stuff, so we were going to live together. And so I started working at French and I got back from college, graduated high school. And then we had all been on the cruise. So really it was August 2019 when we actually like lived together. So it was more of like almost like a convenience. Like I feel like the marriage of convenience was I did everything for the kids. I took care of the kids. You know what I'm saying? I worked and we could buy whatever we wanted because we both had really good incomes. And I know that whatever, but that's the truth. You know, that's what it more so like.
When you started dating Albert, were you still living in North Carolina?
So this was South Carolina.
Living in South Carolina.
I don't know if that's what
Did you and Albert ever have any problems with
No, like, okay, so Albert's mom is a nurse practitioner for a psychiatrist. a lot of extensive advances. Like they would constantly tell Albert I needed to be on medication or I need to be doing it throughout our whole marriage. You know what I mean? So that would cause a lot of problems. Like even if you look at the report that she wrote to police before I got arrested, she talks about, you know, in there about, you know, 1 minute I'm this way, 1 minute I'm that way. You know what I mean? So like basically it was married to him and her. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't necessarily a lot of physical. There was not, you know, any physical abuse. It was a lot of emotional abuse. He's a narcissist. So, you know, he's a victim and everything. He took advantage of my mental, sometimes I way my mental status would be, and like go to his mom about it, and they'd all try to like, you know, tell me I need to be on this meds, I need help for this, or I'm crazy, you know. So it was more so mental and emotional. And there was never any physical up until the end. When we got custody of the kids, he thought I was in cahoots with her, which I guess you can kind of say I was. Because if you look at my phone record, you'll see my plan was leaving, but I didn't want to leave the kids. Several messages you can see me say, I don't want to leave the kids because I know they wouldn't get taken care of. So we had custody of them. But their mom, she started dabbling in drugs, but she wasn't ready to get the kids back yet. So my plan to her was always like, I'm gonna let you know right before I leave, you better have a house, you better have everything together, and then I'll help you get the kids back to Carolina. So when he found out that what he called it, was in cahoots with her, that's when he started getting violent and aggressive, like throwing lamps in the house, there's a video on my phone they have where he stopped the car, because I record it all the time, because I wanted to keep all that evidence for Landon to have. And he's beating the piss out of Gannon, and he's flinging stuff like irate because he thinks we're all in cahoots against him to get the kids back. And he's like, you're just trying to take the kids from me. You're trying to get them back to their mom. So once I got the collars rings and we lived together, that's when it became like that. There was no hitting me with his hands. It was just flinging stuff in the house, being angry, slamming the doors, punching doors. Like he would get like that because he was swerving down. I was working with her. Which I guess you can see it as me working with her, but I felt like if I left, they wanted to be taken care of. Like he's going to be poor. He's going to make sure they're clean. Nobody, he wouldn't. So he doesn't have that nurturing piece or that ability to multitask or none of those things. So in a way, I was kind of working with her to get the kids back home, but I guess he took that as me going against him. I was doing what was right for them. You know, I would leave.
And so the kids would have been his two kids.
Right. Like, if you look at our school paperwork, who always talked to, up until he realized what I was doing, that I was collecting evidence to get the kids back home to her, because she had already promised me that I could see the kids whenever I wanted in Carolina, like that she would not take them out of my life. She had already told me that. And so like once I started collecting, he would notice I'd be driving down the road and I'd have the phone on. And I'd just start collecting everything because I'm already a paranoid person. But I knew like if I start collecting stuff, you know, like I would have it to give to her for everything. Because I wanted her to get a sobriety first, get a home, whatever. And once he noticed I started doing that, that's when it got a little bit violent with him speaking, trying to set him up and take the kids from him. Like his weren't paranoia. His was just because he knew I was right. He knew that everything I was collecting was preparing for when I left. Because if you even look at my phone searches on the evidence, you'll see that like I was like, looking for a place to stay. I was like getting everything in order. I had already told Gannon like on Wednesday I'm going to call your mother and tell her what's going on, but we gotta wait till Wednesday. The reason I said wait till Wednesday because I was starting that flight attendant job and I wanted to make sure that everything had went through my flight attendant, that I had been like officially hired. I was going to the training, everything before I said something to her that, hey, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Here's our plan. This is.
Hey, Chris. Happy Friday to you. I see you creeping through the back door. And good evening to you and blessings. Good to see you here. Reason.
They wanted to go with me, but I told them, I was like, don't charge me with kidnapping. If you call the country, we got to have a plan, you know, so. But that was always the plan. So they can call it cahoots, whatever they want to call it. But my plan was to make sure I know that Rhonda and Matt would take care of that. So Landon's mom and dad. I know as long as when I was in South Carolina and I had the kids, they were the only two people that helped me with anything. I had myself. So I knew they would be safe with them. Whatever I needed to do to prepare them to have them, that was the application. So.
And about how many months, maybe before this alleged offense happened, did things take up where he really became aggressive?
I know it sounds I've created so many different personas in my life and so many different ways to cope with everything I've been through. The sunlight is one of them. Like being in somewhere warm, being somewhere where I can use those coping skills to help me when I have a flashback, when I wake up from a nightmare, so I tried to talk to him about it. And I said, hey, Colorado and me just don't, like it's causing me to get worse mentally. I was having more of my manic episodes. I was just like having more episodes where I forget and lost the time. And a lot of it was because I didn't have those coping skills. Like you can't play softball here in Colorado. You know what I mean? Not during the months that I'm used to playing back home. And so, all these skills I built over time were taken from me in Colorado. So when I got here officially in August, it was weird because I had to do outside duty work too. For teaching, you have like outside duty stuff like that. I was freezing in September, and I was like, I wanted to do something else, or let me go be a flight attendant where I can do warm sometimes. And I'll set my schedule where I'll be with the kids a few days a week, and I'll be a flight attendant a few days a week. Because I knew mentally I needed the outlet because I'd used it all my life. That's when he took offense to it of like, if you go be a flight attendant, there's nobody going to be here to watch the kids. And I was like, I'll be here on these days, but these days I want. So that was around September, October of 2019, because I had applied for a flight attendant.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, help me here. What do y'all think? I'm gonna be honest. Like I always said, I don't think Al is all innocent through this whole thing. I mean, in a way of in the way he was with him, the marriage and cheating and all the stuff, etc., etc. I'm not saying he wanted harm to happen to his child. Absolutely not. So nobody get it twisted. People's watching replay. Don't come gunning for me, emailing me all this crazy stuff. That's not what I'm saying. Now, what I'm saying is, I think he kind of was throwing the weight on her with the children. And what's troubling about that, yes, well, don't get me wrong, you're married, his kids is your kids is his kids. That's a part of marriage, right? But you had to know she was a little off. There was something not right. That's why I keep saying is I know that the children had to come to him from some sort of reason about, hey, she acts such and such a way. I think he was pushing a lot of stuff on her to do this, to do that, and putting responsibility to her while he was in the military and he was so busy, back with the military, you're busy, you're doing this and you're doing that. But I think when she signed up for this marriage, personally, I don't think she wanted any kids. I don't think she wanted kids in the first place. So when she signed up for this marriage, hey, we're not going to have no kids. I don't even want my kid, but my kid is grown, basically self-sufficient, could take care of themselves. It's okay if your children come over part-time, every other weekend or 2 weeks or something, whatever the deal is, whatever was set up. But then when the kids was there permanently, it was like it was too much for her. She couldn't take it. She was just going out of her mind because she didn't want to be bothered. She doesn't want to bother kids. But what's strange is, now these are all my thoughts and opinions. She doesn't want to be bothered with kids, but why would you become a teacher and then a special ed teacher? Very interesting. And I do feel that she do have different personalities. But she might not have what they talking about. I don't think she has that so much, but I do feel that she does have different personalities. Just my thoughts and opinions. Y'all let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me. I stand to be corrected. I don't mind. All right, let's get back to it.
In a job, and I was supposed to start it the next year because they have like a waiting list or whatever. That's when it got like that. When he saw that I was actually going to be leaving, I was gone part time. He can't operate without having someone do everything. So that's
We just stopped it at 24:55. Before we get into the content of what Ms. Stauch is saying, could you give the jury understanding of the form of questions you're asking? In other words, are you suggesting the answer when you ask questions, or are you wanting to get information from her and explain why you did that?
Sure. During a lot of these forensic evaluations, we like to ask questions in an open-ended manner to give the defendant the opportunity to explain their life story or their perceptions to us. We try to avoid, to the best of our ability, yes or no answers. We definitely don't like to feed them information, especially when it relates to diagnosis that they can then regurgitate back to us or to someone else. So the questions we ask tend to be open-ended.
And is that what we see in this last segment we saw? Is that kind of how the entire interview went? You would ask a question.
Bingo! Thank you, Nell Gigi. Exactly what I'm thinking. While I can't stand Letecia, see, I'm trying to put emotions and feelings aside. I'm trying to look at it at different angles, okay? This is what I try to do. I don't want to, because I know what she did was horrific. I can't stand this woman. What she did was completely wrong. So I don't want to be saying certain things. People are like, oh, you must got empathy and sympathy for it. No, no, no. I'm trying to understand the dynamics of why certain things happen. That's what my channel is about. It's a learning channel, it's a teaching channel. We have to learn from certain things. There's certain things that happen that cause this. There's a cause and effect for everything. You do this, this is what's going to happen. But why did this happen? You was dating. Why you didn't see the signs? Children must have been saying something to you. Children talk. They had to say something. What's going on? I don't understand why. How could she do such a brutal, horrific murder like this? And you going to tell me just then? Now all of a sudden everybody's going to sit back. Oh, I don't know. I didn't see nothing crazy about it. No. There were some signs. But a lot of people want to sweep it up under the rug because a lot of times parents, we become so selfish and we think about ourselves. But I'm sorry, when you have children, it's not about you no more. God is always number one. And then two, it's in your children than yourself. And especially you have little children, you're supposed to take care of your children. You're supposed to protect them. They don't have nobody else to protect them but you as the parent. And that's your job to do. Now, let me read this one. LGG says, while I can't stand Letecia, I do believe Al used her so that he could advance in his career. And you have a lot of men. They are so much driven in their career. They want to get ahead. They're not thinking. Not saying he wanted this to happen to his child, but he was so much driven in his career. He wanted to get to a high rank. So he's probably pushing her to do this and to do that. And didn't realize she's emotionally unstable. No, he did realize, but he probably didn't think she was going to go to this extent. And when she also said, I think she said Al is narcissistic. Narcissist. I think he might have some traits. I'm sorry. I think so. Because the way I'm hearing how they met, this happened, that happened, he might have a little bit of traits. These are my all thoughts and opinions. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I didn't break bread with him. I'm not a therapist or whatever, stuff like that. I didn't diagnose him. But this is my thoughts and opinions. I think he is. And not saying all narcissists are killers, not all sociopaths are killers and everything. No. Some cases they don't kill, but they will drive you crazy. You know what I mean? Gaslight you, mimic you, be deceitful and lie to you, and all this kind of stuff, whatever. But I don't think he's all that. That's why I was so intrigued about what this whole thing is. So first, number one, it's just so sad what happened to her play. But the way she did this to him, there's more to it. She shot him. She stabbed him. Then she hit him with a blunt object. That's a lot of hate. You gonna tell me it was just that day she decided to come out? No, there was stuff boiling in the pot. Nobody was paying no attention. You know, kids cry for help. They speak to you. They tell you, look, mommy, such and such. You know, sometimes as parents, we so busy at work and everything. We come home, we got to pick up the kids, bring them, we got to cook something. And be like, mommy, dad, I want to tell you something. Oh, well, not right now. We'll talk a little bit later. Yeah, I understand, whatever. And the kid would be like, oh, gosh, okay. We have to stop and listen. Take time. That's why it's important as a family, when dinner time comes, try to sit together at the dinner table and all talk about how was your day? What was your day like? What happened? Oh, you got a new friend in class? Oh, what was your friend like? Oh, yeah, my new friend, blah, blah, blah. Listen to them. Just listen. You'll learn. And they love it. That don't cost no money. That's free of charge. Don't cost anything. You ain't got to be rich to do that. I'm just saying. All right, let's resume. All right, let's get back to it.
And you would get a answer and there would be rambling and there'd be nonstop talking. Is that the sense of how the whole evaluation went?
She did have a tendency to ramble during our evaluation. I think that there were times where maybe we asked a question, especially as it pertained to the offense, where she spoke at length, easily 30.
Yes, Chris. He had to know. There's no way. He had to. I don't want to hear it's a bunch of BS. He had to. Let's get back to it. This poor angel. See, this is what I'm talking about. Children don't ask to be born. And they got to deal with this crap from their parents. See, when their parents is toxic and they all have this drama going around and everybody's so involved with themselves, they arguing this and that, going back and forth, the kids get lost in the mix. And this is what happened to the children. Or they end up deleting themselves. Then they end up turning to drugs, to alcohol, having sex with everybody. Because they didn't get no attention, no love at home. Nobody respected them. Nobody wanted to listen. And you don't understand why you got these full-grown adults walking around here. There's something wrong with them. Because it's from their childhood. Yeah, I know people say, oh, well, get over it. I had a hard childhood, but maybe it's not so easy for that person to get over it. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Some kids go to school, they can study for 20 minutes, they ace a test. It might take one kid 3 days to study. They have to put sticky notes, little cards and everything to study and get it right. And they might not even get 100 on the test. They lucky to get a 75. Everybody is different. Everybody's tolerance for everything in life is different. Let's get back to it.
30 minutes, 40 minutes before we asked any follow-up.
In regards to the segment we just watched, did you or Dr. Gray ask questions about her relationship with Al shortly before the crime?
We did.
And is that the response we're seeing where she's talking about, I was going to leave Al, that kind of thing?
Yes, we were trying to understand the nature of her relationship with Mr. Stauch since it's relevant to this case.
And did you have an opportunity to listen to several pretext phone calls that were conducted between Al Stauch and the defendant, Letecia Stauch?
Yes.
And is what she's saying in this last segment consistent with what she's saying in these pretext calls where she's asking him, are we going to be together? Are we going to get back together, bring our family back?
I don't know. My Wi-Fi is tripping over here. I hope everybody's seeing the video and hearing me clearly. All right, let me see what Melanie says right here. I don't think he ever thought that this would be the outcome. Of course not. We're not saying that. Of course not. We don't think it would be the outcome. A lot of parents, we don't think it's going to be the outcome. Of course not. But there had to be signs that she should not be in charge with his kids. Was he just desperate to keep them from the biological mother? This is what I'm thinking. This is exactly what I've been thinking from the get-go. A long time. As I'm watching this and following, I'm like, something is odd. Something is odd. And a lot of people are trifling. You got men out here trying to keep the kids away from the mother. You got mothers out here keeping away from the kids. And you see, when people do this as parents with this back and forth BS, who suffers? The children. The children. The children. All right, let's get back to it. Resume.
Together over and over and over again.
I do remember that from the pretext calls. Yes, this report would be inconsistent with that specifically. And I might suggest that both things could be true at the same time.
Sure. It's complicated, right? It's a relationship. You don't know all the behind the scenes information that's going on. Is it a
Yes.
fair statement?
Yes.
How about when you talk to Al Stauch on the phone as part of your insanity evaluation? Did he give you information about their relationship just prior to Gannon being killed?
He also noted things were rocky, to say the least, that there had been some thoughts about separating and that no actions had been taken at that time.
What about when she talks about living in Colorado and not being able to play softball and she needs to be in the sun, that kind of thing? Was that any relevance to your?
There's a thing called retroactive jealousy. She might have been suffering from retroactive jealousy. I'm glad you brought that up because I thought about that too. And I did talk about retroactive jealousy on Clubhouse. I didn't do it on this channel, but I'm going to talk about retroactive jealousy. And that happens in relationships. She could be going through that. Retroactive jealousy is basically a person who's jealous of you, jealous in a relationship, but more of your past. Now, it could be a relationship that you're with a person, you ain't thinking about them, you done with them, you haven't been with them since forever, but they just can't get that past out their mind. It's sick and twisted. They always thinking that the person's still around, or they feel like they have to compete with that person. It's really sick and twisted. But you're not even thinking about the person. You ain't speaking to the person. You ain't in no contact. They ain't calling you. You ain't calling them. But in their mind, they think something different. It's called retroactive jealousy. I'm going to do commentary on that one. Yes. Thank you, Chris, for bringing it up. I need to bring up something. I'm going to do a video on that one. All right. Let's resume.
evaluation when it comes to insanity?
When it comes to insanity, the primary focus of that evaluation does tend to be at the time of the offense. And it's helpful for us to have an understanding what the defendant was going through. I'd say even up to a couple of weeks before the actual event, just to understand what was their emotional state, what symptoms might they have been exhibiting at that time. Did they undergo any particular stressors that could have exacerbated symptoms of mental illness at that time?
I want to talk about the stressors. When we talk about dissociative identity disorder, is there a triggering event that might commonly be seen in people who suffer from that mental illness that causes them to switch personalities?
There can be, and at the same time, it can be random.
In this clip, again, she mentions switching personalities. You recall her saying something about that?
I'm trying to remember.
I see you, Marlene, creeping through the back door, and blessings to you and happy, happy Friday. Reason. Oh, let me read the poll real quick. All right. Did y'all vote? Vote. Okay, we got 10 votes. Do you feel she is telling the truth about different people in her? 60% says, really, Donna? No way. 20% says, yes, she is telling the truth. 20% says, not sure, Donna. I'll tell you what I think. I think she do have different personalities, but she might not have this DID. I don't think she might have that one. But I think she does have different personalities. As I listen to the way she's talking, yeah, I kind of think so. And I think he noticed that too. Well, he knows it was something, but definitely I think Harley knew something, but she didn't want to say that on the stand, did she? Because she was saving her butt. Just like her mama. I'm telling y'all, watch a movie, Mildred Pierce. Yes. That's going to be my homework. Matter of fact, anybody has Discord, let me know. If you have Discord, because I want to have a movie night. Educational movie. And matter of fact, we can watch Mildred Pierce. Yes, we can. Or we can watch something else. So just let me know. If you have Discord, or if not, we can do it on the StreamYard. But it's not going to be out in the public, out on YouTube. It's just going to be us here in the StreamYard. You don't have to get up on the panel. You can still be in the chat and you can still watch. The same thing here, but we just won't be on YouTube. Right? But it would just help. I would need if you could have Discord, we could do it on Discord. If not, we could do it on the StreamYard. But I would need your email address, because we have your email address, then I can send the link and you can pop on here. So don't worry, nothing will be recorded. If you want to come on a panel and talk, fine. Or you just want to be in the chat box like here, it's no problem. We're going to have an educational movie night. All right. So just let me know. But it'd be best if you can email me, find my email in the description so I can send you the link and we have a movie night. And it'll probably be like on a Sunday or something. But of course, not this Sunday. And it won't be the next Sunday, because the next Sunday is Mother's Day weekend. So maybe the next one is free. But we go from there. We'll brainstorm, okay? Because I think that'll be fun and it'll be educational. We can just watch a movie. And that's for the males too, males, females, whoever wants to come. Just let me know. All right, let's get back to this. Resume.
Specifically what was said during this clip, would you be able to remind me?
Sure. She mentioned something about being able to switch personas based on the weather and how she can adapt to different things. And do you recall that line of her answer? If you don't, it's not that.
Not specifically, no.
This would be a good time to take a break if the court likes.
I was going to ask about that, actually. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take our afternoon break. If we can have everyone back in the jury room at, say, 3:30, we should be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. With that, all rise for the jury, please.
Who's ever coming in this chat, make sure you hit the like. Feel free to engage anytime you want. If not, you just want to sit back and listen. I understand. My channel's more of a podcasting. But glad to have you here, and happy Friday. Reason. Okay, Nell Gigi is coming in hard tonight. I think he pushed for custody without talking to his wife and just expected her to accept it. Exactly. Please. I don't want to hear it. Oh, you got sympathy for her. Oh, you're looking out for Satan's daughter. No, I'm not. We have to get into deeper of the cause and effect. Why did this all happen? Yes, Nell Gigi. Married couples are supposed to discuss certain things. And like we said, let's not forget, they only dated for 4 months, then got married. Hello. 4 months, then get married? Really? 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 We're going to go there? No, it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. Let me repeat that again. I think he pushed custody without talking to his wife and just expected her to accept it. Let's get back to it. Oh, that's Daddy right there. That's Al right over. You see Al? Let's look at Al. That's Al. He's the one dressed in the red. That's Al. You see Al over there? Yeah, you Al. I know you hurt. You lost your son. But you are thinking. There was the signs. Should have protected him better. As parents, we're supposed to. I'm just saying. And I really hope your wife, your ex-wife, Gannon's mother, sue the hell out of you. And I hope that she sue the hell out of, excuse my language, but it is what it is. I hope she sued the crap out of his stepdaughter, Harley. Take them all down. Take them all down. Because you were so convinced she wasn't. Let's get into this one. Yeah, let's go here. You were so convinced that she wasn't a suitable mother for Gannon. You figured this woman, Satan's daughter, would be better? This is what you thought? You thought she'd be better. But you wasn't around. You were so busy at work. You was doing this. You was doing that. You left the child with Satan's daughter. Now look what happened. Our poor angel is not here. And he died in a horrific way. Sorry, not trying to put blame, but we just got to call it as it is. These are all my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, let's get back to it.
All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. Now seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358. Letecia Stauch record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk to
Chris said, regardless of what he is or did, Gannon should have been safe in his home. And that's our job as parents to do. He should have been safe. This should have never happened. I just see all kind of red flags, all kind of things that could have prevented this from happening. These are all my thoughts and opinions. I'm just saying. Check out some of my past commentary. I talk about this a lot, so I'm not just going in on this trial. So this is nothing new about what Donna's talking about. This is nothing new. I talk about this all the time. Yes, I do. Let's get back to it.
you just very briefly because of something that Mr. Combs said to me. Regulation of room temperature in this room has been challenging. So I want you all to know that if you need to bring something in, such as a jacket, a parka, a scarf, a wool cap, or gloves, mittens, those sorts of things, if you need to bring that in and you've forgotten to do it and you've left it back in the room and we need to take a break for you to go get that, we're happy to do.
I know I keep pausing, but y'all coming up with some phenomenal, great comments, and I have to read them. Chris says adults need to act like adults and communicate their feelings and let children be children. You're right. And didn't Harley say on there when they would have their arguments, stepdad and mama have arguments, they'll pull her in? I believe that's the truth. See, I think between Harley and Letecia, I don't think they had that mother and daughter relationship. I think it was more that relationship with mother and daughter, more of a sister. How old was she when she had her? That'll tell a lot. Resume.
Do that. So just let us know if that's an issue. So with that, Mr. Young.
Thanks, Judge. Same thing for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You and I didn't have an opportunity to go over these videos prior to your testimony. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so you don't know what's coming up on the next video. Is that a fair statement?
I don't.
I'm going to do a better job of kind of giving you a preview of that, and then I'll ask you what to look for. Would that?
Oh, yes, Melvie, I agree. I bet he feels horrible about bringing Gannon into the mess and what ended up happening to him. Let me just take a time a little bit. Let me read comments. Chris says, people having a baby to fix their relationship or make themselves feel whole is a recipe for disaster. I agree. Okay. What else? Oh, I'm way back here. Dang, I got a lot of comments here. All right, so Melvin says, Monday through Friday, with all holidays off, teaching seems like a good job, but being a parent is 24/7 and no days off. Woo! All right, what we got Nell GG says up here. Letecia wants to utilize her degree and not to be a full-time mom. Al was able to advance his career regardless of how she felt. Bingo! This is why I feel he might have had a little bit of narcissistic traits. I'm just saying. My thoughts. Yep. Happy Friday. Let's get it. What else Nell GG saying here? That's why she wanted to be a flight attendant, because it would give her a break. Nell GG, I love you. God dog it, I love you. Nobody else is talking about this. No, they don't. And then when I talk about it, it's a problem. Coming gunning for me. What did I say? This is a learning, teaching channel. We need to watch red flags to prevent this stuff from happening. This was all about. So y'all want to come for me? Check out my past comments. I'm not just talking stuff now. Because I've been talking from the beginning. All right, what else? What was we got here? Melvia. What you got to say, Melvia? Imagine being in an airplane with her as a flight attendant. I'm done. Oh, sounds fun. Okay. Oh, Chris, I got Discord. Okay. I will email you. All right. We're getting somewhere. Melanie says we should have a verdict before Mother's Day. Wouldn't that be a fantastic gift for Landon? Woo! We should do that. Let's try that. That sounds like fun. It's like fun. All right. I adore Nails. Yeah, she's on point. Hit that like, subscribe. But first, check out some of my commentary, see if you like it, and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to email me, you can find it in the description. You can email me, no problem. If you have need coaching and dating, love, relationship, toxic relationship, or you have views requests, feel free to contact me. All right. Now, what else? What else we got here? Okay, I'm almost done with the comments. Okay. Some people don't know the difference between kids and pets. Woo, Melvia. All right, Melanie says 18 to 20. Harley is 20 now. Hang on. I'm going to grab Letecia's birthday off the court page. Melanie Gracie, I love you, Melanie. Thank you. Bring it. How old was she when she had her? Because this is one of those, not mommy and daughter. This is a sister relationship. You ever know those parents and they be going out with their daughters to the club, twerking and stuff? You ever see that? Yeah, that happens. Yeah. Let's get it. All right, let's get back to it. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, keep pausing, but gotta get this stuff out because we have to learn. This was all about. Okay? All right, resume.
That work for you?
Yes.
Okay. So the next video is we're still on People's Exhibit 724. We're going to fast forward to 1 hour and 19 minutes and 26 seconds. We're going to play a 3-minute clip. In this video, I'd like you to watch for evidence of dissociative identity disorder. And I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions on what that means to your evaluation of Ms. Stauch in that disorder based on what we see on the clip. Is that fair?
Okay.
All right. So with that, Your Honor, we'd like to play 1 hour, 19 minutes and 26 seconds, and we'll stop it at 1 hour, 22 and 25 seconds.
Has a scene, okay? So Letecia believes that her and Sam Hunt are always together. Y'all know who Sam Hunt is? Country singer, right? Okay, so he always like kind of laughed at me about this because I be telling him Sam Hunt writes these songs about me all the time, you know what I mean? And so we went through, when I'd be in my bipolar episodes, like we had everybody convinced back home that Sam Hunt was Harley's dad because Hunt's their last name, you know what I mean? And then I don't know, because I be getting like this ego of like, why would you want to be like, I still do the same thing now, even at Joe, and I don't even have nothing but an orange suit. You know what I mean? But I still be thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I am aware of the discrepancies in my personalities and being, you know, working with special needs kids throughout the time I know when I recognize something's abnormal to be around somebody. I'll be like that, and then next thing you know, I won't come out of my room. Especially around, like, holidays and stuff like that. I won't come out of my room. I'll just be sitting in my room the whole time. Like, in my marriage, Albert would be like, why don't you come in here and watch TV? And I'd be like, no, I'm staying here. Why are you want to stay in here? But then I go into the mode of like, well, I mean, that's one time in my closet growing up. Why not? You know? And I would just not eat. Woe is me. You know, the world's going to end. I want to die. You know? And then I'd fluctuate back into it again. So, like, common sense, I knew something, you know, wasn't right. Like, I'm not a stable person. I'm not a person that you're going to say that being a professional that I am. Been through all this time with schooling. How do you think I did this? Because I didn't see. You know what I mean? I'd be so excited. I'd be doing this degree and that degree and that degree. How did I get them all? Because of those times. But then there'd be times when I wouldn't be turning in my schoolwork, and I'd have to message the teacher and be like, look, that's right now. You know, like next week I'll catch up and do 3 weeks worth of work, but just not this week. You know. And so like you learn that's just not normal. Like, if you guys, one of y'all came to work with each other like that, and you consistently came like that, you'd be thinking one of two things. Are you on drugs? Or is something really wrong? And I don't do drugs. So, like, the more and more that happened, you know, like, I became cognizant of it. And then Harley, as she got older, she started noticing. She'd be like, Mom, you'll be this personality, then you'll be this one, and then I don't even know sometimes. And she just learned to, like, you know, like, to deal with it. And then sometimes they can't even pry me out of the room because I won't leave for days. You know, so as it happens more,
So we stopped it at 122.25. She's talking about discrepancies in her personalities and that she's aware of them. Do you recall her saying that?
Yes.
Tell the jury, how does that impact, if it impacts it at all, your diagnosis or lack of diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder?
Well, as noted before, awareness of the different personality states in dissociative identity disorder, it's complicated in that you can be aware of them, and at the same time, you might not be so aware of others. But that being said,
Okay, I hope everybody heard that one clearly. I'm going to put it back to 1.5. But when she talks, I put on 1.25. I think she's telling the truth when it comes to this with different personalities. I think that Harley knew. She got on that stand and she lied. You know your mother's all over the place. You know it. Just my opinion. Let me know. Okay, my girl Melanie got something to say. What did she say? Per the probate cause affidavit, Letecia birth is 8/04/1983. She'll be 40 in August. She was 19 when she had Harley. Bingo. That answered my question right there. She was 19. Basically a baby having a baby. And the relationship with her daughter was like a sister-sister relationship. So she got caught out there. And I don't think she wanted no kids. But she got caught out there and she had this baby for whatever reason. But then when she met Al, her child was older. Didn't have as much needs. She ain't got time for no little kids. No 24 hours. And especially one that has special needs. Nah, that didn't work with her. All right. Melanie says, no judging. My impulsive document retrieval. I got it bad, folks. Oh, nothing wrong with that. Thank you to clear what I said. 19. That's like a baby having a baby. I'm not saying, well, you can have kids. So I'm not coming off hard, but I'm just saying when it's close in age like that with your children, especially with mothers and daughters. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. It's like that sister. They be going to clubs together, partying together. Even double date. I've seen this stuff. It's crazy, right? It's really crazy. All right. Let's get back to it. All right. All I can say that is one hardcore looking for. She sure do look older. All right, let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'm put on 1.5 with this lady talking here.
I watched those clips. Despite what Ms. Stauch is saying, to me, it sounds like she's trying to explain different mood states as opposed to different personality states. And it sounds to me as though she's trying to explain to us that she can be manic and then depressive or have depression, kind of reflecting a bipolar disorder. But what's particularly marking is that idea that she can anticipate when she's going to come out of a depression. As she noted in the video, she talks about having all this energy to have all of these degrees, and then she might be depressed, not want to come out of her room. She might not do the work associated with teaching that she's supposed to be doing, but she can catch up on it the following week when she comes out of this depressive state. I mean, in bipolar disorder, again, you can't anticipate or plan when you're going to be manic or when you're going to be depressed. Those are not things that one can control.
Regardless of what was going on with Ms. Stauch when she was in school, she was able to complete her schooling and eventually obtain a doctorate degree. Is that fair?
Yes, that's what she said.
So when you talk about she may have been depressed at some time, it didn't mean she didn't black out and forget about the schoolwork. She just knew she had to go back and do it in a future time or at a later time.
That's how it sounds to me.
But she also mentions in this clip that Harley, her daughter, knew about her different personalities. Do you recall her saying that?
Yes,
Did you or Dr. Gray try to contact Harley Hunt, her daughter, during the course of your evaluation?
we did.
Were you able to talk to her?
We talked to her only briefly, but we never were able to conduct an interview with her.
And why is that? Do you know?
Ultimately, she said that she needed to seek some legal counsel before she could speak to us.
Oh, Harley, you couldn't talk. Yeah, I'm on you, Harley. Oh, Harley, you couldn't talk. You needed some legal advice. Why? Why? Because you helped cover up the crime? You helped to throw that suitcase over? I'm just saying, these are all my thoughts. I could be completely wrong. Why you need legal advice? You need GoFundMe to go and see your long distance Guyanese, Grenadian, I don't know which one it was, boyfriend. We're supposed to help you because you have to ask for rides to go back and forth in college. You run all over TikTok. It's so hard being an influencer, what you said. Your mother horribly, brutally killed your stepbrother. And what did you say on the stand, Harley? My mom was gonna do something like this. She could have set me up with something, left me with something. That's what you worried about? Well, I know. He wish he was alive, enjoying his life. He didn't get a chance to graduate from high school, go to his prom, have his first girlfriend, go to college, meet somebody, get married, and have children. That was taken away. But you're worried about, what? And my mom's gonna do something like this. She could have left me with something. I'm just saying. Resume.
Do you know whether or not Harley Hunt eventually talked to law enforcement at some point during this investigation?
My understanding is that she eventually did.
And do you know whether or not she actually testified in this trial?
I'm aware that she testified.
Would it be surprising to you that she testified that she didn't know anything about her mom?
Your Honor, I want to object. This is an inappropriate question asking this witness to comment on.
No, I think you can I think the question is phrased is objectionable. You, number one, you are reciting what some of the witness had to say and you can't testify. Number two, I think that you can rephrase the question to ask her, in a hypothetical fashion, if a witness had testified or if the facts were to establish X, what would be your opinion? I think you can do that.
And I understand. I'll rephrase the question. Your Honor. If Harley Hunt said something inconsistent with what Ms. Stauch said in the video, would that impact your decision on whether or not she had? Well, let me strike that. Would that tell you whether or not she was being credible when she told you that Harley was aware about her different personality?
I want to object to the question asking her to comment on the credibility of the witness.
Sustained. You can't ask somebody to comment on the credibility of someone else. You can ask her whether or not it would be consistent or inconsistent, but you can't say that it's credible or not.
Well, we're talking about Ms. Stauch. You're doing an evaluation and you're relying on her self-reporting to certain things. Is that fair?
Yes.
Would that self-reporting be impacted if you knew Harley Hunt said something inconsistent with what she said on the video?
I would say collateral information is always very helpful in these types of evaluations.
And obviously, at the time that you were doing the video interview with Ms. Stauch, Harley Hunt was not cooperating with you or anyone else. Is that right?
I don't know if she was cooperating with anyone else. She just politely declined to participate in our interview with her.
Okay.
Melanie, thank you for bringing that up. She should have been more concerned about her mama making sure that she wasn't involved. Harley has been making her own money since she was 16. The question I have, when this happened, she was 17, if I'm correct, and they said that she was at work. So she had finished school? I'm just trying to figure out, wasn't that school time? So wasn't she still in high school or she wasn't in high school? Anybody know the answer to that one? Because that's what I was a little bit lost with. All right. Yes, what? Oh, Melanie, come on. Yes, what? I'm all over the place. Yes, so she was in high school at that time because it said she was at work. And this happened on a weekday. Help me, Melanie. Help me, girl. Help me. Come on, help me. All right, Melvia has something to say. I don't understand why you spend so much time with people that we know are guilty. If she wants to be in the nut house, put her in. I'm done. I can't. I love it. All right, let's get back to it.
The next clip I'm going to play is at 1 hour and 27 minutes and 34 seconds. We're going to stop it at 1 hour and 33 minutes and 24 seconds. And in this particular clip, Ms. Stauch will be talking about delusions or hearing.
Oh, okay. She finished early online. Oh, okay. Because I was wondering about that part. Okay, so that's why she's working at the nail envy place. Okay. Thank you for that little tidbit. Thank you. Resume.
Things, and then I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions about what she says about that. Okay. So with that, we can start the next clip.
Minutes ago, you said you hear voices, but they're all your personality,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah, and the devil. But there's always the devil. The devil was trying to tell you to do something. Like when I was in high school, junior, 26, the devil was telling me to jump off the ice because it had to be a white man to jump off the ice.
At the time that you were doing the video interview with Ms. Stauch, Harley Hunt was not cooperating with you or anyone else. Is that right?
I don't know if she was cooperating with anyone else. She just politely declined to participate in our interview with her.
Okay. The next clip I'm going to play is at 1 hour and 27 minutes and 34 seconds. We're going to stop it at 1 hour and 33 minutes and 24 seconds. And in this particular clip, Ms. Stauch will be talking about delusions or hearing things. And then I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions about what she says about that. Okay. So with that, we can start the next clip.
Minutes ago, you said you hear voices, but they're all your personality,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah, and the devil. But there's always the devil. The devil was trying to tell you to do something. Like when I was in high school, junior, 26, the devil was telling me to jump off the ice because it had to be a white man to jump off the ice. That's the devil. That's like cosmic powers trying to like come in and intervene. That's going to be with all of us. You know what I'm saying? The closer you are to God, the devil's going to come get you all the time. You know what I mean? But as far as like, I don't believe in this whole thing that people say, and no disrespect to y'all's jobs, but for me, I don't believe in this whole thing where people say, oh, these people are talking to them. These are your cosmic powers in your personalities. Like, all my personalities will go talk to me and be like, "Oh, just slap that girl." I'm like, "No, like those type of things." But I don't know if these people beyond this whole mess thing and they be doing that stuff. Like, none of that. But there's always the devil that has you to do that. You know what I mean? Like running a G-Ball in the form of chance for you to run a G-Ball. You know what I mean? But I don't believe in that other stuff. So, you know.
So you don't believe in which other stuff?
Like, I be seeing people come in and they be on meds and they be swearing up and down, like, you know, like, oh, these people were telling them to do this. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It's only the devil. Like, the devil told me to drop off a hot choice. That's different. But they could be just random people sitting out somewhere telling you this. Like, this ain't how it works. You know what I mean? Yes, does my different personalities tell me to do different things? Yes, but that's still a part of me, just in a separate world. That's not, you know, I don't know. I just feel like they be just a little bit delusional like that. But I believe in, if anybody saying anything wrong, that's the devil or that's yourself. You know what I mean? Even if you got 5 cells, it's them. It ain't, if you, that's people not drugs like me now. People that be on meth and all that. Like, I be seeing them going there and they be swearing up and down, you know, this crazy stuff is going on. Like, I don't believe in that. I feel like it's the devil. Not, have I? Yes. I've been in forms of psychosis in my life where I talk people. Or maybe you can call them delusion. But on a regular basis, no. Like, if I'm in a different world, like if I go to a world like a Janelle's world, I see everything Janelle sees. But that's because I've created those worlds. I've been able to be like, I know what Janelle does. Or if I go to Christina Brianna and I'm doing gymnastic stuff around cell, like I know that I can make a balance beam, or you know, I put apparatus out or whatever. But I know those are things that I leave this place to go to that place, so I put them. You see what I'm saying? It's not something that, you know, they're
Sounds like it's almost a conscious choice on your part.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Except Maria. Now I'm in that part because I can't control going to Maria. That without it being triggered, like you'd have to put me like under some like, you know, drug induced setting or something to trigger to get Maria. I can't forcefully switch her, but everyone else I can because it's a conscious way of doing it, you know. Like every time I go to court, so Miss Robinson, the lady out here, she goes to me to court. I'll be like, bye-bye, Miss Robinson. I leave. She's like, don't leave yet. And I just go to a whole other world. Like sometimes I'll be calling my name. She'll have to like snap me out of it. And I'll just be in a whole different thing doing all different stuff. But I created that as a way to deal with things in life. It's not something that, you know, that is like a chemical imbalance or something, I don't think. But then Maria, though, she's a trained sniper now, so she can do the most.
Where did she get training to do?
But Maria does for hire. She got trained from Russia. She does for hire. She's from Mexico. She got trained for hire. She does $1,500 per minute. She does different things. That includes everything. Like,
This Maria is something else, isn't she? Interesting, Maria. Reason.
so you see her come out. She's talking about eliminate this person, eliminate that person, but it's only certain people. It's pedophiles, people that like sexually molest people, people that rape people, like those that need to be eliminated from the planet. You see what I'm saying? If there are people, you know, you can say, well, you're a Christian, you should not say that, but Maria's not Christian, so she don't say that. Those are people that just need to be completely wiped off the face of the planet. Because if you're going to sit there and hurt child and pedophile and molest them and all that, then you need to be breathing.
So we stopped it at 133.24.
And happy Friday to you, Carrie. Creeping through the back door. Let me read what you have to say. All right. I'm starting to think Missy Harley all meek. Ha. It's not so innocent. Remember, she was going to join the Air Force. She's not that meek. She knew something. I agree, Carrie. I truly agree. She knew something. I'm not saying that she was plotting with her mother to kill Gannon. No, 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 no. But she covered up the crime. And I don't think that Miss Hartley was all that sweet and nice to Gannon and his sister. I don't think so. Because it's really puzzling. I'm trying to understand when they went on their anniversary weekend. It's just a weekend. What did she need to get a babysitter for? Why did Satan's daughter, Letecia, had to get a babysitter? I think the reason why now is because Harley didn't want to be bothered with her step siblings. Now I'm starting to realize that's what it was. Why she couldn't watch them, but she could understand. I didn't understand. I could have watched them. I'm old enough. No, she got a babysitter because she knew you didn't want to be bothered just as much as she didn't want to be bothered. These are all my thoughts and opinions. I'm just saying, let's get back to it.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yes, there is.
Let's start with her conversations about the devil and the devil telling her to do things. Okay. What's your take on that?
Our take on that is ultimately, it seemed like an exaggerated symptom, that one specifically. She talked about auditory hallucinations, hearing personality states, again, in dissociative identity disorder. The research related to clinical presentation says that's possible. Hearing the devil wouldn't be associated with a dissociative identity disorder. Hearing the devil could be associated with a psychosis. But again, given Ms. Stauch's history, there's nothing there to corroborate that she's had any significant psychosis that persist, that one might hear that symptom and say that symptom goes with this particular clinical presentation. What was also striking was, at least as it pertains to issues of psychosis, is that individuals who do have a psychotic disorder specifically are usually hesitant to draw attention to their symptoms. They can be difficult to assess because they might deny symptoms, or they might just withhold information as it pertains to those. So the fact that Ms. Stauch just very openly told us about this hallucination, hearing the devil and hearing the devil at different moments of her life, it's just not a particularly credible symptom in the way that she presented it.
The way she presented it was in reference to the hike that took place on January 26th. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And so, for the sake of argument, it in fact.
Melvia, Harley had to help with cleaning up the blood and the transfer of Gannon's body. Bingo. She had to. The more I'm learning about this in different videos and stuff, she had to. It just doesn't add up. When a person dies, their weight is extremely heavy. I just don't see her throwing that over the bridge, cleaning up all that blood. It just doesn't add up. Harley, you're not so innocent. I just hope and I pray that Gannon's biological mother takes Al and rip him, sue the hell out of him, and sue the hell out the stepsister Harley. Yeah, I said it. They need to go down. You know, she could run around here in these little Caribbean islands or whatever, her little Guyanese, Grenadian man. And we're supposed to fund it for her long distance lover. Gannon is dead by your mother in a horrific way, and you helped. I'm just saying. Resume. My thoughts and opinions. So don't come gunning for me, y'all. The replay watchers and emailing me this stuff. Please don't. Be respectful what you have to say to me. I'm willing to listen. Just be respectful. Resume.
Fact the devil was communicating with her? Did she have ability to say, no, I'm not going to jump off a cliff? In other words, she didn't listen to the devil.
Yeah, that's important.
Why is that important?
When it comes to issues of psychosis, people sometimes hear hallucinations that command them or tell them they should behave in a particular manner. Some individuals with psychosis have difficulty controlling their behavior in light of that, and some people can control their behavior in light of that. It kind of depends how sick they are at the time.
And she mentions again to you and Dr. Gray, incidentally, Dr. Gray is asking specific questions about psychosis, it sounds like, during this portion of the interview.
Yes.
And she understood those questions and is responding to those questions. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yes, Carrie, if you want, you can share anything with us here. We do not judge anything over here. We just sharing our thoughts and opinions. We all listen to each other because, hey, you might see something I don't. I'm all about clarity on here. Ask questions and you will find your answer. That's it. Not judging anybody here. We all have our thoughts and opinions. That goes for everybody here. We have our thoughts and opinions. I want people to feel comfortable in my channel to share your thoughts because this is a learning, teaching channel. We have to learn and we can learn from each other. And we don't know who's watching this as a replay watcher. They can watch, they can learn from it. Okay? So bring it out here, everybody. And if you don't want to just put it out here, if you want to be more private or whatever, you can email me. It can be all confidential. Let me know, and I won't put it out here. I won't put your name or whatever. I just put blank, blank, blank. Don't worry. I can understand. I respect people's privacy. A lot of these tubers out here don't do it. I respect people's privacy because I want the same thing done to me. Resume.
She starts to talk about her different worlds. And was that a common theme throughout the interview?
Yes, generally speaking, whenever she spoke of these other personality states, she frequently talked about how she created the personality states. She created the worlds. She could move from one world to another on her own volition, with the exception of Maria.
Now, how does that fit into a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder? Do people who suffer from that disorder describe?
Okay, Nell Gigi did it again. Remember when she was yelling at Harley not to say anything when the cops met them at the marshals? What was she afraid that Harley was going to say? Bingo! Let me see how much more of this one. Is she gonna go back? Oh yeah, she's gonna go back on camera again. She's gonna start talking again. All right, so we're gonna do some more. I'm sorry I keep y'all here forever, but this is getting good. It's getting good. Oh, Friday. This is so much good stuff, but not this Friday. But last Friday was, oh my gosh. But I had to break that down for another day when she was, being interrogated by the FBI. So stay tuned. I will get into that one, but we'll do that another day. Let's focus on this one. Resume.
Their different personalities as going to different worlds?
I've never assessed somebody with a legitimate dissociative identity disorder to be able to know if that's how they usually describe it or not. What strikes me is that it's convenient that the one personality that is particularly important and relevant to this evaluation is the one that she has no access to.
Talk about that in just a second. But with regards to going to this world, for instance,
I know y'all like, Donna, enough of the pausing. Can we get through this? I can't help it. Y'all coming out with some phenomenal, great comments, so I have to read it. Carrie said, no only child. Listen to the key words. Teenager isn't going to ask questions, especially when your mama is acting cuckoo. Hello. Reason.
too much information, but when I'm having a problem trying to go to sleep, I go to a beach and I think about sitting on that beach and listening to the ocean. Am I suffering from some kind of dissociative identity disorder because I do that?
I would say that we need to do a more thorough assessment.
No further questions. Yeah, I did. All right, well, I guess maybe I'm off. I don't know. I'm never going to think about that again. let's talk about Maria, okay? You just said that there's an exception to her different personalities with Maria. How significant is that to your evaluation?
As I said, Maria ultimately ends up being one of the most relevant personalities associated with the evaluation of her sanity at the time of the offense. She talks about all of these other personalities. She explains to us that she is unaware of a couple of her personalities, that she learns of them through the evidence. She seems more aware of a separate set of personalities. And then when it came to Maria, she said that she could not tell us what Maria was thinking at any given time. Just like she noted that she can move from one world to another in these other personality sets, Taylor, Christina. I don't know that I could remember all of the names off of the top of my head. When it came to Maria, she said that she couldn't do that with Maria. But it's also interesting to me that she seems to have an awareness of Maria's existence in terms of her being a trained.
Melvia says, holding something like this will one day break Harley down in a very bad way. You have a point. But when she said this, Melvia, this is why I kind of like, I don't think so. When she said that statement on the stand, my mom knew you're going to do something like this and you didn't set me up. To me, it's kind of like narcissistic. And now my day to shine, Ma. I'm going to get you back for this. I helped you clean up. You ain't set me up with nothing. And I'm over here struggling. I think she got narcissistic traits too. I think that's how she felt. But she's good because she ain't in jail. That's why she need to be punished. And I hope Gannon's mother going out here and try to sue or something. Take that girl down. You sitting around here with all these little TikTok videos. It's so hard to be an influencer. Running around here half naked and stuff like that. I mean, hey, you do what you want to do. Whatever, stuff like that. But does this look like a girl who's going through some sort of stress? Don't think so. She need money for this? GoFundMe? What about GoFundMe Gannon? What about Gannon? She don't care. She good. She's having a good old time. I showed the videos, the other one. She's having a good old time. She's traveling. She's having a good time. A lot of people don't have the pleasure of getting out the country, do they? Her long distance, I don't know what she said, Guyanese or Gradian boyfriend. I'm just saying, I think she's okay. And I don't like that. That's why she needs to pay. These are all my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, resume.
Sniper, where she was trained, the idea that Maria speaks different languages, all of that seems a bit far-fetched to me in terms of this idea of dissociative identity disorder. Because dissociative identity disorder, the majority of individuals who experience it as multiple personality states coexisting at the same time within them, which is where the identity confusion comes into play. It's not usually presented so overtly in terms of, I have this separate personality with all of these different qualities than me.
Is it inconsistent to say that she knew this much information about Maria and yet at the same time say she can't control switching over to Maria?
To me, I would think that if she had no access to Maria, I would expect her to have less of an awareness or understanding of that particular personality.
While we're talking about Maria, at some point during the interview with Ms. Stauch, whether it was in March or in June, did you ask to speak to Maria?
We did ask her if we could.
And how did she respond to that?
She essentially said that she couldn't just switch into Maria. She noted that, I think she said a little bit in there, that something would have to trigger that particular personality to come out of her. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, during the course of our assessment, she said that we would need to bring out specific evidence or discovery to help her return to that state. Just how she noted that she was aware of these other personalities. We asked about what Maria was thinking at the time of the alleged offense, and that's when Ms. Stauch told us that she could not tell us what Maria was thinking at any point in time.
I'm going to fast forward to November of 2022. Did you review an interview that was conducted by a Dr. Lewis with Ms. Stauch in her insanity evaluation?
I did.
And did you see a portion of that interview where Dr. Lewis said, "Hey, can we speak to Maria?" And then Maria appears talking in a Spanish accent.
Yes,
Was that Ms. Stauch in the interview?
it was.
Was that inconsistent with what you saw when you asked her if you could speak to Maria?
I would say generally speaking, it seemed to be Dr. Lewis asked multiple times to my recollection before Maria emerged. I also saw Dr. Lewis doing something with handwriting, and I'm not familiar with whatever technique that was.
Okay. We may be watching that at a later time, okay? The next segment I want to talk to you about is reference to Maria again, and it's in reference to an incident that happened when she was being transported from South Carolina to Colorado where there was an assault on a deputy. Do you recall that information?
Yes,
And do you recall talking to her about that information?
briefly, yes.
Okay, we're going to play this clip and then I'll ask you some more follow-up questions about that. And just so the record's clear, we're still on People's Exhibit 724. We're now at 1 hour and 39 minutes and 2 seconds, and we will stop it at 1 hour and 41 minutes and 10 seconds.
If you look at that report where the drive here, that lady was trying to get me with her gun. And like you can see on the camera why I kept on telling her, like, I knew exactly what she was over there doing and thinking. And I kept telling her, like I know what you're doing over here. I know you're out to get me, you're trying to shoot me with your gun. Like I knew all that. You know what I mean? So like that was a time, an example where it was very heightened, where I was like all over the place thinking they were out to get me with the stuff, and that I was trying to read what she had going on, and she was trying to shoot me with her gun. I don't know if you saw that report, but like you could see it in there where I keep looking at the camera telling them this. You know, that was an example of a time that it was like very, very high.
And those perceptions that you get are always accurate, or?
From like the premonitions?
No, when you get really paranoid and it seems like you know what other people are.
Yeah, because like think about it. In that instance with that lady, that Deputy James, it was for accurate. She did have a gun on me, so therefore what else she'd been doing with a gun, pointing at me. She was trying to kill me with it. So like that was a perfect example why it was accurate, you know what I'm saying? And of course Maria came, that whole incident happened when Maria came, and she's just gonna regulate all, you know what I mean? So that's what's usually always accurate, like the whole incident with the guy trying to tell me I hit somebody. I didn't really hit somebody, but these people were out to get me the whole time, and I kept telling them, like, look, there ain't no way I hit somebody. Y'all are setting me up, like, who hit somebody and there's no marks? So I knew they were doing that because his last name was Sanchez and Maria's last name was Sanchez. So how did that happen? You know what I mean?
Okay, we stopped it at 1 hour, 41 minutes and 10 seconds. Was it clear to you when you're talking to her that she's saying Maria was the one that kind of took over and assaulted the deputy on the way back from South Carolina?
Yes.
Looking at the interview with Dr. Lewis, where it's alleged that
Okay, Melvia said something. Melvia said, did you ever say if the mama and daughter were on drugs? I never said nothing like that. And I was always curious about that. But they never mentioned it so far. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't heard anything about anything drug related or alcoholism, anything like that, drugs, alcohol, or whatever. But I was always curious if, she was drugs, alcohol, the daughter, the mama. I don't know. That's a good question. Resume. We almost done, ladies and gentlemen.
that Ms. Stauch turned into this persona named Maria Sanchez, talking in a Spanish accent. Did you review the video of the assault coming back?
She keeps threatening me. Stop. Well, she keeps threatening.
Stop it.
She keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it. She keeps on.
Well, she got out of the restraints.
She keeps on. Threatening me.
Put your arm down.
I will for you. She keeps
Put your arm down. Put your arm
But she
down.
keeps threatening me the whole time.
Tisha, give me your arm.
I will to you, but not
Tisha,
to her.
give me your
I will
arm.
to you, but not to her.
Cooperate with me. Cooperate with me.
I will with you, but not with her.
Cooperate with me.
I will with you, not with her.
Tisha?
I will with you. I said I would.
Then give me your arm now.
I said I would with you. I said I would with you. I said I would with you.
Stop resisting.
I'm resisting. I said I would with her. Well, the other
They're
one,
double locking. Go ahead. I got her on.
Yeah,
I have to
You said stop
I'm not
resisting. Yes, you are.
we stopped it at a minute 56. You heard several voices on that.
Yes,
Did you ever hear a voice that was consistent with the voice that you saw in Dr. Lewis's interview of Ms. Stauch, where she was talking in a Spanish accent?
I did not.
Did you recognize Ms. Stauch's voice in this video clip?
I did.
And is it the same Ms. Stauch that you evaluated and the same person seated in this courtroom that you did your insanity evaluation?
Yes.
Is that consistent with or inconsistent with what she's telling you that she turned into Maria when she assaulted this deputy, the video we just watched?
It's not consistent with the Maria that I saw in Dr. Lewis's videos.
But is it
presenting as the Maria that I
anytime that I feel like I'm threatened or something is in trouble, danger, threatened, kind of way, I'll always have a flashback of like me trying to protect my mom. Like there was one time when my mom's boyfriend Greg was like beating my mom and he threw her through the glass window at the front and I ran around the house, got that, hit him in the legs and knocked him down. So like I'll have flashbacks of those times with those things happening. You know what I mean? I try to like, I did therapy before. We try to like reframe it. You know what I mean? I did that before through the school district. It just doesn't work for me. I would still have that flashback, and then that's why sometimes I switch personalities and go in the protective mode because I'll have that flashback and I'll think I'm back in that same time. You know what I mean? Like for example, you know, I text my boss and tell her that my stepdad died. I had a flashback that morning when Lena came into my room. I thought, I guess it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I texted my boss and told her that my stepdad died. But that was because I was having flashbacks the whole time and nightmares of this day when my stepdad died because I wasn't really sure if he was dead or not. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot because like I can see somebody walking on the street and I'll be like, that looks like him. One of the triggers is red and black. Okay, and I know you have red and black on. So I can even watch like NC State, that's one of them, basketball. You go to NC State game, red and black. You know what I mean? Because it's surrounded. It's not just one, it's surrounded. He would come in with red shirt on and black. And the always saying this is like his whole thing of like his mom. So his mom was killed supposedly by his stepdad. So he always wears red and black to like commemorate this, you know what I mean? So like I can see somebody walking on the road with red and black on it, and I'll have a flashback of stepdad coming in the room, turning lights on. He'll go, my name is James Lowry. And he has this whole like monologue thing that he does before he heightens up to the abuse, you know what I mean? And so that happens. That's why when I was driving one day on the back roads, I was thinking there was somebody walking and I was thinking it was him. And so like it gets scary because like what if one day I was to like try to run that person over, like thinking that was really him, you know what I mean? So those are the kind of flashbacks I have, and most of them, I'd say 90% of them have something to do with him. Me and Kyle call him Jackass James just because we like, you don't see it for me so much. Jackass James, because that's what, you know. Other that I have flashbacks is from fire because the house burned down when I was younger. And my mom blamed me. And I called 911 and I got in trouble for calling 911 because my mom was saying that the way they read the report, she wasn't going to be able to like get the house fixed on her insurance and like same thing. Got in trouble for calling 911. Said that here. What happened was I was trying to cook for my siblings and I had a pot and curtains used to not be in the house, whatever. And I had to run go get my little brother and I was trying to find my sister. And when I came back in, it caught flame on the thing and it burnt my mom's whole kitchen living. So like anytime there's something hot, I can smell it. Like I can smell the fire as I'm there. Like sometimes like if, for example, it can be something small, like people could be doing like a wood fire in the woods, like burning trash or like a bonfire. I don't do bonfires. Because I would be at the bonfire and I'll just be like, no, like I now have a flashback of the time that the fire happened in the house. The reason we moved from North Carolina to South Carolina was to show and shock our house and set it on fire because we lived in a very neighborhood. So we're going to have flashbacks of my mom calling me telling me that everything we had work for was burning in the house. So those are like just some examples of what happens. I mean, I can almost like feel like it's burning, or I can almost feel like I'm there. I smell it, I see it, you know what I mean? And then I'll remember everything. And it's almost like, it's different than when I switch personalities. When I switch personalities, like I go to those whole different. When that happens and I have a flashback in that same place that it happened, like I just visually there. And it happens so much with my stepdad. Like, I could never, I tried to find psychotherapy, the whole reframing it. I don't expect me to reframe getting molested by a person that your mom married and trusted you. How do you want me to reframe it? That's what I'd always tell him, like, that he didn't do it because he did. That just doesn't work. And so, like, I tried doing all that, but I couldn't. Anyone that looked like him, anyone that freaking, like, walked like him, like anything, throughout my whole entire life. Freaked out, you know, and especially with the whole, like, whenever you come in with the whole, like, James, sorry, if their person's name was James, I'd always cringe. Like, you know what I mean? When I read, this sounds bad, God forgive me. When I read the scripture, in the book of James, I can't even go to the scripture in the book of James without having those flashbacks. And that's bad. Read my Bible. Can't even read that section because that's his name. Because I'd be thinking, like, as good as James was, because James was Jesus' brother. How? And this is James. Like, there's something wrong here. And my brother, she gave my brother Dakota James, his real name, and I don't that. So those are like kinds of things just like we're reading it. And like when they did my brother's graduation, they walked across the stage and they were like, he graduated high school and I was there. And they were like, Dakota James Lowry. I literally was like, don't tell him that. He is not like his dad. You know. Just a lot.
You're saying that these flashbacks are more than just a memory.
Oh God, yeah. I'm telling you, almost like you're right there. See, coach, all your senses are activated. You know what I mean?
I also recognize that red and black is trigger for you. That you're feeling the flashbacks today when
So when you first said something to me, I didn't say anything to you, but that was the reason I didn't. Do you remember when you first were like, how are you doing? And I didn't say anything to you? I told myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, she has nothing to do with Jackass James. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, don't think I tried to disrespect you in any way when you first said them to me, but I go into like that defense mode on it. My friend, when she comes to visit me on the video screen, she won't wear it. Like, she won't do it because she knows that's one of me. That's what that is wrong for her. Like, and I went to school, like, I'd go watch ball games at North Carolina, but if we played NC State, I'd be like, oh, hell no. Because I was just, like, surrounded by a sea of red and black. No.
And you've mentioned triggers. We've talked about several different triggers that you have. What exactly is a big trigger?
Well, if they don't trigger a flashback, which is usually what happens. It kind of depends on what my mental state already is. So basically, if it's just, I'm a little heightened, it'll be a flashback. If I am in severe protective mode, like scared for my life or someone else's life, it will go into anyone's enemy, and I'm protecting those people around me. One time we were at Burger King, this was in January of 2020, and this guy, he came in, and he was trying to pick on Lena about the drink machine. It's literally, like, I felt like she was just, like, this guy was trying to do something to her. He looked like James in a way, sort of, kind of, like, body shape, everything. I get on the table at Burger King, and I'm, like, turning out the whole entire Burger King, like, to protect her. Like, I feel like that's my job. But, like, I have to do it first before Maria does. Maria does it, I'm not going to remember it. And if she does it, it's going to be bad, because then it's going to be somebody who is trying to hurt somebody else who's going to hurt, you know.
I want to start with the last thing she said there. She said, I want to do something to protect people before Maria does, because if she does it, Maria is going to perhaps take it to a different level. Do you recall her saying that?
Yes.
And then she went on to said, I can't remember what Maria does. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How significant was that to your evaluation when you're considering dissociative identity disorder?
It was important to us during our evaluation.
Melanie, if you still here, if you could put in the chat, when they said that she was sick today in trial, today was day 16. We watching day 15. That was Wednesday, but today Friday, day 16. What was she sick with, or they didn't say, or whatever? But just get a load of her. Look at her with her head on the table. Oh my gosh, I can't. We almost done, ladies and gentlemen. I just want let me see. What did she? Is another video? Yeah, there is another video. We gotta watch her. All right, resume.
And I suspect we'll talk in more detail about it, but we had her delineate the events leading up to this offense. And she does, I use the word speculate, because she has told us that she doesn't know what Maria is thinking at any point in time. But she, at the same time, tells us that at the time of the offense,
I agree with you, Melvia. This is the same way I feel about with Surat, his mama and grandma. Going to the laundromat, ordering Uber. You're going to feel it. All right, Melvia says, Harley isn't going to feel bad until she don't get a job because people saw this case. It's going to come back to haunt her. Exactly. Yes, it is. Because there's going to be a lot of people that's going to want to watch a case. And they're going to watch all these YouTube videos. And they're going to watch from beginning to end and take notes. They're going to be like, this girl might have helped. Oh, no, we don't want over here. Don't make sense. Oh, Melly answered my question. Thank you, girl. You come on time. It says imaginary stomach flu. Oh. Didn't Daryl Brooks, Surat do the same thing? See, this is what they do, ladies and gentlemen. Narcissists and sociopaths, all of them. When it gets down to the wire, and when they know they can't get out of a situation, they'll lie. And it's like, poor them. They don't feel well. I think, didn't Daryl Brooks do the same thing in a trial? That's what they do. Because they getting close. Everybody, they being exposed. And they can't handle it. Just like that crazy Castro, what his name was, that kidnapped those 3 girls and held them hostage in his home in Cleveland, Ohio for 10 years plus. That was 10 years plus. Ooh, he was a piece of work. And he killed himself in the cell, right? I wish he would have lived so he could be locked up in that cell like he had those girls chained up in his house for years. I couldn't stand him. Ooh, boy. Ooh, gosh. All right. Melanie says, tell me if y'all know about that story. Castro something. I can't remember his name exactly. But in Cleveland, Ohio, had those young girls chained up in his house for like almost 10 years. Sorry, Donna. Somehow I was behind you guys. I'm digging deep on another tab into the divorce and custody records. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Gotcha. I want to know about that one. Love you, girl. Thank you. All right, let's get back to it.
Maria might have thought that the individual who was killed, ultimately Gannon, was Letecia's stepfather.
Did she ever tell you at any point during the entirety of these interviews how she was able to tell you what Maria did if she doesn't remember what Maria does?
No, she's never able to explain that to us.
She talked about flashbacks at several times during this portion of the video. What's the significance of the flashbacks and why were you asking follow-up questions about that?
Flashbacks, again, were relevant to the question of mental state at the time of the offense. As I noted, she said that Maria, well, we were asking follow-up. I'm going to answer the second part first. We were asking follow-up questions because her description of these potential mental health symptoms at the time of the alleged offense were somewhat layered on top of each other and, quite frankly, a bit confusing to follow. So, throughout the course of our evaluation, she would talk about dissociating and she would talk about these missions as though she were in a manic episode. She would also talk about dissociating and then the issue of flashbacks, which in itself is a form of dissociation, but not a dissociation as it pertains to a different personality state. So we were looking for symptoms potentially associated with this post-traumatic stress disorder, and flashbacks are a presentation associated with that. But given that her own self-report was confusing, difficult to follow, not really consistent with any of the specific presentations that we would expect for dissociative identity disorder or psychosis or even flashbacks associated with PTSD, we were asking follow-ups.
Was it inconsistent with how she described the flashbacks? Initially, she says, when I have a flashback, I switch personalities. Do you remember that?
She has said that, yes.
Did she later on come back and say, flashbacks are different than me switching personalities?
Yes.
What significance does that have, if any?
Again, it's trying to understand what is this clinical diagnosis that we're looking at. When it comes to flashbacks, flashbacks are when you feel as though you are specifically reliving a traumatic event from your past. It's more than just seeing something and being reminded of something that happened to you in the past, which we all probably experience from time to time. There's nothing particularly pathological about the latter one. But when it comes to flashbacks, usually an individual exhibits behaviors that are notable by other individuals because all of a sudden it's as though the person is no longer here in this awareness and reality because they are essentially reliving something that has happened to them in the past. So it's noticeable.
Did you see any evidence of her flashing back to anything while you were interviewing her during this period?
No.
It seems like that you were asking questions, and I guess I can ask, were you trying to figure out what the triggering event was that would cause her to switch personalities during this conversation?
During this conversation, I think I was just trying to get a better understanding of what is it that she means when she says flashbacks. It's not uncommon to see in these types of evaluations people using psychological jargon without really using it correctly or understanding exactly what it means, which is, again, why we ask open-ended questions. So I was asking what she meant by flashbacks, because as I noted before, throughout the evaluation, she seemed to layer or conflate or use terminology, but seemed to mean something else. I was just trying to get a better picture or understanding of what it was that she was trying to communicate.
And is this the first time you're hearing anything about red and black being some kind of triggering event for her?
That clip might have been the first time that she specifically stated that. I'd have to go back and watch all of the interviews to be sure about that.
Okay. But you recall her talking about that. And were you the one wearing red and black, or was Dr. Gray wearing red?
No, I was wearing a red and black coat that day.
Did you notice anything unusual when you first met her wearing your red and black outfit?
I remember when she came in, because that was the first interview for the sanity evaluations. She seemed a bit sullen, a bit, she wasn't as polite or bright as she was when we did the competency evaluations.
Speaking of that, did you and Dr. Gray perform some?
Oh, court was a few minutes late as defendant was sick. They made a plan for if she needed to exit the room quickly. She never puked or exited. So just fake again. She did look pretty bad. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Love you, girl. She good. Resume. We almost done. I'm going to fast forward here. Let's just get to when she talks again. Because I see there's going to be more of... All right, let's go here. Let's see what do we got here.
For the record, the jury, everyone had a chance to look at that. Okay, Dr. Torres, the next segment we're going to play is, again, People's Exhibit 724. It's going to start at 2 hours and 16 minutes and 57 seconds. In this particular clip, we're going to be hearing more about Maria and who she protects. And then I'm going to ask some follow-up questions with regards to this dissociative identity disorder and your evaluation in regards to that disorder, okay? So with that, we'll play the next clip.
With your dissociation, you said before, apart from Maria, there's a level of conscious awareness about it. Would you say it's like daydreaming in terms of other lives, other personalities?
Yeah, it is actually a whole world. The daydreaming to me would be just somebody having like a good imagination. You know what I mean? No, it's like a whole entirely different world. Like, for example, if you were to talk to Harmony can tell you exactly what it's like to be abused in depth, like detail by detail. Every sexual part question she'd want to answer, she could do for you. You see what I'm saying? So I try not to say that's like daydreaming because that's like real. You know what I mean?
Look like Harley threw you under the bus. This is what narcissists do to each other. They throw each other on the bus eventually. I'm just saying. It's a possibility Harley has some narcissistic traits. She threw her mama under the bus. You didn't set her up, you remember? Ooh, people gotta watch Mildred Pierce. Resume.
There is, I think other ways to like explain it. Maria, like I said, she doesn't have awareness that everybody else is just her world and she's protecting me. And there's not people consistent in her world. Like, for example, Maria would know you. The only people consistent in Maria's world are Chance, Harley, and like people that she's been sought out to protect. So it's not really daydreaming, it's an actual job that she has to do. And the kids were part of that world. Like, anybody want to do something to Gannon, Lena, Harley, Maria feels like she can get them too, because I've spent my whole life not having adult protection. I'm going to give them protection in 5 different forms. And that's because more of like different worlds that are created, not necessarily just, like when I do it in the courtroom, I go to that whole world, not like the people can go with me, not me just making it up like, oh, I'm at the beach. Not like that. It's actually me going there to the beach.
I feel really silly about bringing up the beach. Let me ask you some questions about what we just saw. Again, she talks about Maria and she talks about who she protects and who she's in the world. Now she's expanding who Maria protects. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And she includes Lena, Gannon, Harley, and I believe she said Chance, if I recall correctly. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What significance is that, knowing that we're going to see eventually her interview where she seems to indicate that she turned into Maria when Gannon was killed? What's your take on that?
I would think, or at least, my understanding of dissociative identity disorder, these different personality states have their own details associated with them. To me, in terms of Ms. Stauch's self-report, her presentation, it has always been confusing to me how all of the personalities seem to have an awareness of Ms. Stauch's own history. I'm not necessarily an expert in dissociative identity disorder. There are some people who devote a large chunk of their work to that practice. I am an expert in forensics. I'm an expert in clinical diagnosis. I have some awareness of these diagnoses. But that being said, in terms of my understanding of the conceptualization of that disorder, there just seems to be too much of an overlap in terms of what Ms. Stauch says about these other personalities, the way in which she can control going from one to another, the ways in which they overlap with each other.
Did you or Dr. Gray ever consider the fact that she could just be making this all up?
Yes.
That she could just be winging it as she's talking to you, and she must have slipped about talking about protecting Gannon in this segment?
I don't know that we ever thought of it specifically like that. I mean, we did consider the possibility of feigning or exaggerating, simply given the fact that she exaggerates. She seems to exaggerate in her self-report to us throughout these interviews, the psychological testing, the fact that her self-report during the sanity evaluations is at times consistent and at times significantly inconsistent with her self-report at the time of the competency evaluations, as well as the collateral data that we had available to us. She tells us that these personality states have been present since her adolescence, and she specifically mentions that Maria shows up. I don't know exactly when, but she mentioned to us that Maria was around when she was 16. You would just think that somebody would have seen something, maybe not a mental health professional, given that her mental health treatment was somewhat spotty. But even the individuals that we spoke to, nobody had heard of this or knew anything about it.
Talk to Al. Did you talk to Al Stauch about these things?
We asked him, I don't remember the specific question, but we did. We asked him if he knew of her behaving erratically, going into different personality states. We asked him specifically if he was aware of somebody called Maria Sanchez. And overall, no, he didn't endorse seeing or knowing anything about this.
And would Harley Hunt, her daughter, probably be the best person to know about those things because she's been with her whole life?
We had hoped to ask Harley that question, but as I said, we weren't able to speak to her ultimately, so we didn't get that opportunity.
Why did you ask Ms. Stout whether or not she was daydreaming or words to that effect? You recall that question?
Yes. I wanted to see what she said in response to that question, because self-report and what was occurring with that person at the time of the offense.
Is that in large part because
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it. I don't see. Oh, hold it just a second. Oh, what I was just saying is, I'm going to end it because I don't see that she's going to be talking, but they just paused it because it was continuing on today, day 16. All right, so we wrapped up day 15. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for engaging, sharing your thoughts and opinions. And thank you again, Melanie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, stay tuned. Like I said, I'll do something Sunday. But, that following next weekend, Cinco de Mayo, Friday, and Mother's Day weekend. So, might not see me. All right. So, thank you for being here. Like I said, thank you for engaging and all that good stuff. We'll just stay tuned for, Sunday, and we get into day 16. I said day 16? Yeah, I said day 16. All right. So thank you again, everybody. If you're here, still here, thank you for being here. It was a long one. Put out the blue hearts, but Sunday is not gonna be long. We're gonna try to keep it under 2 hours. Try best. We'll try. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a good night and a blessed one. And again, happy Friday. And thank you for being here. And thank you for engaging. And the people in the bushes, thank you for being here too. And thank you for the people that's hitting the like button. And remember, date smart, not thirsty. Because not everybody comes into your life with good intentions. Watch out for the red flags. And listen to your gut feeling. Because that's God talking to you. Bye. Adios.